You heard the album?
Yeah. I've listened to the album nonstop uh,
Yeah.
all week. But real quick, I just wanted to say I've been licking my
Uh-huh.
wounds since the Bills gave us a
Oh
thrashing
man.
on Sunday,
Oh boy. I told you,
and
and that was an entertaining game. I told you, but it was like I feel like Coach Campbell, the minute he did that onside kick with 11 minutes to go in the fourth, that's when he set his team back because it's like they were trying to play catch up from then on. You know what I'm saying? And they already, I felt like they wasn't playing like a good game to begin with. And the Bills, Josh Allen and the Bills just went in there and took care of business. But I felt like they had a chance because even if you didn't do the onside kick, they would have been down like 3 points, right? If they scored a touchdown, they get the ball back from the Bills, they scored a touchdown, they would have been down like three. You could easily come back from that. But for you to take an onside kick at 11 minutes to go, who does that? You know what I'm saying? So I just felt
yeah,
like that was a bad play. And then they just kept trying to come back ever since.
we spend too much time trying to muster offense to catch up to the Bills. Like that's a lot of plays
Right.
and a lot of yardage to try and make up. And I think that
Right.
onside kick was him pretty much waving the white flag, conceding our defense isn't good enough, to
Right.
to
I
get
agree.
a stop, to get the ball back. So I think he was pretty much what
Right.
conceding the game. And like you said, the amount the offense they like last week the offense won us that game. I felt like this game against the Bills, it was like our
Yeah.
offense was trying to overcompensate for what our defense gave up. And Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Glenn, he got his
Right.
work cut out for him because now David Montgomery he has a season-ending injury, and I can already see the like the people that was riding so hard, with us, for the first
Um,
13 weeks after one loss in 2 months, everybody is getting off the bandwagon. Everybody, is
yeah.
saying, they ain't gonna make it to the Super Bowl, blah 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 blah. If you feel that
Mm-hmm.
way, just stay on that side. Because like
Right.
Dan Campbell said, for 2 months, our fan base has gotten used to eating filet mignon, you know,
Right.
porterhouse steaks, and we forgot
Mm-hmm.
what it was like to eat spam and to eat, which sandwiches,
Right.
like ride or die, good or bad, whether we have the best record in the conference or
Mm-hmm.
we are uh, middle of the pack. Like it's Detroit for life with me. I'm a Lions fan before anything. So with that
Right.
said, we're gonna win. We got to win out the remaining three games in the regular season to have a chance to win the division and win the conference. And like
Right.
Dan Campbell said, man, like we think about it, like the Lions have been winning in spite of all of our injuries. Like
Uh-huh.
we like for the past month or so, we're like a hoopty that's been driving to work, getting around, with with a dragging muffler, and
Mm-hmm.
the engine needs to be changed, but we just rolled it till the wheels fell off, and now we just gotta get ourselves back in the garage, do it. We got to tune up. We have to fix what's wrong with us immediately, and just get back
Right.
to winning. So I just wanted to get
I
that
agree.
off.
I'm I'm still picking them to go to the Super Bowl. I don't think none of the teams in the NFC West is gonna beat them. I don't see I think the biggest threat to them is the Eagles. I think if the Eagles can, if they don't have no more drama in their locker room and they can play like they've been playing all season, I think the Lions is gonna come out to the Lions and the Eagles. But I don't see nobody. The Packers, I think they could beat the Packers. Minnesota, I think they could beat them. You know what I'm saying? So I think their biggest threat right now is the Eagles. I don't see nobody else really that's a threat to them. It's definitely not in the NFC South. They could roll over Atlanta and any of those other the Bucks. I don't see them being as a threat to them. So I'm still picking the Lions to go to the Super Bowl. I think
Mm-hmm.
that game that we saw on Sunday between them and Buffalo, that might be the Super Bowl matchup. If Josh Allen can get past finally get past Kansas City and Baltimore, I think it'll be Buffalo and the Lions in the Super Bowl.
Me too. Like I, to
So
me, my takeaway, like after on Sunday, I was really pissed off and angry that we lost. But after a day, you know, emotions come down, and I said to myself, look, the Bills, they were just that good that day.
right,
You know what I mean? Like Josh Allen and that offensive line, they were like a well-oiled machine, and their game plan was better than ours.
right,
So
yeah,
like you said, we've already beaten Green Bay twice.
yeah.
We
Mm-hmm.
play we play Chicago at Soldier Field this week.
Chicago's trash.
So
Knee boy was good. Knee boy said Minnesota. I just mentioned. I don't think they. I think Minnesota will give them a good game, but I think the Lions can beat them. I do. I don't feel like I don't. Especially for Sam Darnold has not been this far ever in his NFL career yet. That this is the
mhm.
farthest he will go, and I think the experience that the Lions have gotten already, and being there and being and seeing how close that they came to almost beating the Niners and being in the Super Bowl last year. I think this that was good for them because they learn now and they're like a year older and they have that experience. I think the Lions are gonna can beat Minnesota.
And also our secondary with you know uh, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, like our secondary is stout. Is I'm more
Yeah,
I'm more worried about our linebacking core because we're down a linebacker, so we had to play nickel most of the game. But
right.
against Chicago, I'm not really worried about their ground game.
Mhm.
Like I'm more worried about what uh, Caleb will do once he breaks contain in the pocket. But there's nobody that I fear, not even the Eagles. We came this
Knee boys. Oh, go ahead, my bad.
and think about it. We came this far. We won what 11 games in a row. So it's not like the Lions are going to fold because that's what I'm seeing from a lot of Lions fans, around here. It's just that
Uh-huh.
the Bills had our number, but I don't see the Eagles even with Saquon Barkley. I feel that we can. I feel like we have enough to contain Saquon and AJ Brown,
Mhm.
and we got Jared Goff. I trust Jared Goff more than Jalen Hurts. I trust Jared Goff more than Sam Darnold.
That's what I'm saying. Sam don't know. This is he's having an MVP caliber season, and nobody saw this coming. And but he's never been to the postseason. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, do you really believe Sam Darnold, his real first time as a starter in the postseason, is gonna beat the Lions? I think the Lions got too much from Minnesota. I think it'll be a good game, but I think the Lions are gonna win. Knee feels like the Eagles without home field advantage, they're not gonna win. I disagree. I think the Eagles can win on the road too. And like I said, like I think that's the Lions' biggest threat to get into the Super Bowl is the Eagles. If it's not the Eagles, who is it? Is it the Commanders with a rookie quarterback? I mean, Jalen Daniels is great. I have him on my fantasy team also. He's great for what they've done, for what he's done for the Commanders. But are you really? How many people is really picking the Commanders to go to the Super Bowl this year?
In Minnesota, if you look at that Minnesota Atlanta Falcons game, Minnesota had a hard time scoring against the Falcons. It wasn't until mid third quarter where the Vikings started to pull away. But if they were struggling
Right.
against the Falcons, imagine what
And
what Green Bay would do to them if they meet in the playoffs.
right. And mind you, this is they were struggling against the Falcons with Kirk Cousins. Like he lost like the last 5 games to them. They benched him for Michael Penix.
And Kirk Cousins threw 4 interceptions, 2 pick sixes.
Right. Right. So if you're struggling against the Falcons, how are they going to play against the Lions or the Eagles or the Commanders if they got to?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like I said, like I feel like my bad. Go ahead.
And we're going to get Alex Anzalone, our linebacker, back either this week or the week after, because he was injured 6 weeks ago. So,
right.
I see, the Vikings and the Packers, celebrating and, having a laugh at our expense, but we beat both of those teams, and they haven't gone as far as we have, and that's the God's honest truth.
I agree, and I do feel like Jalen Daniels will take the Commanders far at some point. I don't think it's gonna be this year though. I think their future is bright though. Like for what he's done for the Commanders, he really should be in the MVP conversation as well. You know what I'm saying? Like he turned the whole franchise around. They had a shitty owner that they got rid of, and he really brought back that respect to DC. But I don't feel like they're going to the Super Bowl this year. I think if they had to play the Eagles, they would lose. If they had to play the Lions, they would lose. Packers are good. The Packers are good. I agree. They are a dark horse. Packers are good. But they already lost 2 to the Lions. If they got to play the Lions again this time for all the marbles, are they going to beat the Lions? I don't know.
And just to switch gears real quick, the Giants have. I'm looking at the draft order right now. The Giants have the number 1 pick. So, who are the Giants looking at between Travis Hunter and Shador?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know what the hell is going on with Dion is telling people that he don't want his son to go to New York. I don't know why you would do that, because this is like the best marketing place for an athlete. If you don't go to New York, where's he gonna go? Jacksonville? Y'all want him in Jacksonville? They'll never show their games.
But they got Trevor Lawrence. They got Trevor Lawrence. They don't.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're completely all in on Trevor Lawrence though. Like he's good. We know he's good. I've seen him in college. But are they all in on Trevor Lawrence being the future of the Jags?
I mean, how many years deep? Like he's still in his rookie deal, right?
Yeah.
Like on his first contract.
Right. So, but they, I mean, other than if it's not New York, what are the teams you're looking at? Tennessee. So he go to Tennessee, and you think they're going to show the Titans games because he's down here? Who do they have on the Titans right now that you could say like, yo, like they got a roster for Shador that they can make the playoffs? What they got? What, Calvin Ridley? That's all.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying? It's like at least with if he come to New York, you can build around Shador and Malik Neighbors. You know what I'm saying? New York is the best place for any athlete. You know what I'm saying? We had A-Rod, Derek Jeter, Aaron Rodgers, even though Jets playing like crap. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the best place for a rookie QB to be at, especially for his stature and for for his genes. having the great Deion Sanders as his pops. Why wouldn't you want him here?
Do you think Dion may be looking at the ownership group like, I don't know if I want, Shador, playing for
Well,
a ownership group?
ownership fucked up, and you saw if you watched the season of Hard Knocks with the Giants, and you saw that the owner wanted to keep Saquon and the general manager didn't. You saw that was a bad move. They should have kept Saquon, and I was saying that even before they got rid of him. That he was our offense. He made Daniel Jones look good because we didn't have nobody else on offense but Saquon, and that's the reason. That's the only reason why we went to the postseason that year with Daniel Jones, and we beat Minnesota and Minnesota or whatever. It was because of Saquon. We didn't have shit other than him on offense. And the fact that they let him go, and you let him go to the arch rival in our own division, and you see what he's doing now, that's all karma. That's all payback, and he remembered that shit. That's why the Eagles are where they at because of Saquon. He really is the MVP this year. You know what I'm saying? Like Josh Allen is great. He's having one of his best seasons, but Saquon really should be the MVP this year. And I know they don't give it to running backs. They'll probably give it to Josh Allen, and he deserves it. But
But if he break,
I'm looking at what.
but if Saquon breaks the single season rushing record held by Eric Dickerson this season,
Uh,
how could they not award the most valuable
because
player award
they
to
never
Saquon?
give it to running backs though. They don't give it to running backs.
But
It's
but
always
it's
quarterbacks.
but it's rare for a running back to rush for over 2,000 yards.
I get it. I do.
That that
I agree. But at the same
that's
time,
rarefied
it's like
air.
I know I agree. But at the same time, who's giving the running back the ball? The QB. You know what I'm saying? So they're looking at the QB first and foremost before the QB is the most prominent position for players in the league. It's QB first than everybody else.
But Jalen
That's
Hurts is
how it's
Jalen
always
Hurts.
been. When the MVP, when they give out the MVP, it's always for QB. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. It's always the QB first. Lamar Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He's gotten what? How many MVPs he got? Like 2, and he hasn't been to one Super Bowl yet.
yeah.
It's always the QB first. They're going to give it to Josh Allen, and rightfully so. I feel like he deserves it too. You can't have 2 MVPs, but for what Josh Allen has done, especially with the bullshit that he went through with Stephon Diggs, and you see Diggs is no longer there, and without no star receiver, what they've done, he deserves it too.
I,
But
I, I will.
I also feel like the Eagles are where they at because of Saquon, mainly on offense. What he's done, if it wasn't for him, where would they be right now?
I will say
Because remember,
that.
when the season first started, they wasn't leading the division. It was the Commanders. The Commanders was
Mhm.
running that division for the whole season until the Eagles went on that winning streak, and because of Saquon.
I will say that I think MVP voters, they're going to look at Josh Allen's signature games this season. One, the game against Kansas City in Buffalo when he uh, when he ran for the touchdown on fourth down, and
Right.
it was snowy on the ground, like he was shaking tacklers off. That was a signature game. This game against the
Right.
Lions, he played lights out. So I think voters are going to look at how many signature games he has had, and I think they may look at Saquon and ask, well, he's rushed for this many yards, but during certain moments of the game, how was when it was nip and tuck, did he come in clutch? Did they win comfortably? That's what they may be looking at.
All right. My bad. I made a mistake. There's been 16 running backs in the league to ever win MVP. The last one was 12 years ago. That was Adrian Peterson when he was with the Vikings. That was 2012. That was 2012. That's the last time we had a running back. Think of all the running backs since 2012. Yeah, that's the last time a running back won an MVP.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? He was coming off the injury with the ACL or whatever. Saquon deserves it. I do. I agree that deserves it this year. But I think Josh Allen is going to get it. I think he will because
Yeah,
they're looking at it like you have no star receiver. When he did have Stephon Diggs there, they were favored to win. They couldn't do it. They couldn't get past Kansas City, and they still haven't yet in the postseason. Beating them in the regular season is one thing, but if you actually have to go into Kansas City and beat them at Arrowhead Stadium, if he can do that, then I think they go to the Super Bowl. But he has to actually go to Arrowhead Stadium and beat them. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
they're looking at it like, no star receiver, and you're doing this. You go into Detroit and beat Detroit with no star receiver, and he's doing it on his own. He had like what, two rushing TDs in that game on Sunday. I
yeah.
think he might be having his best season in Buffalo so far to me. It just might be his best season.
And he hasn't turned it
You know
over.
what I'm saying? And
That's going to be another point in his favor.
right. And you look at the division that they in. The AFC East is trash. The Jets are garbage. The Dolphins are trash. The New England is rebuilding. They really had it easy this whole season. They had no threat from their own division. None.
Yo, just think
You know
about
what I'm
that.
saying? So it's like
I agree. They've
you know what I
never
mean.
because their division is
Right,
non-competitive. You have to look at how they do against their own conference, and that makes
right.
a world of difference. Like you can't judge them between their division rivals. You have to look at how they do against their conference rivals, and in the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs, it's a whole different ball game, and
Right.
it's going to be interesting to see just how just how much time of possession is going to affect the outcome because I can see because Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen because they can throw for 5 touchdowns easily. Now it's going to come down to who's going to have the last possession. And to me, I've seen too many times where the Bills they'll score and they'll leave too much time on the clock for the Chiefs, to come back and beat them. So
Mm-hmm.
the Bills defense, they they have a lot to prove as well,
I agree.
if not even more.
I agree. And like I said, if they can, I think the biggest hurdle for the Bills is Kansas City. If they can get past Kansas City in the postseason, if they should meet up with them, I think that's gonna tell me like, yo, they're going to the Super Bowl. I don't really see no other team in the AFC that's a threat to them. Even the Ravens are great too, but Lamar also can't get it done in the postseason. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
something has to give. It's either going to be Lamar or Josh Allen that have to get over that hurdle against Kansas City to get to the Super Bowl.
I
That's the
think
only to go to the Super Bowl. Like how it was when Brady always had those showdowns with Peyton Manning when Peyton was with the Colts, and that one year they finally get beating them and they went to the Super Bowl and won. That's how it got to be for both Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. They're gonna have to get over the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes to get to the Super Bowl and win. And once
that's
they do
why
that,
that's
yeah,
why I think the AFC is more compelling than the NFC because they're you got the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Steelers, and then there's
right,
everyone else. Like the Steelers are such a legendary franchise, but they're relatively not inexperienced because uh, Coach Tomlin he's always had his team in the playoffs. But as far as actually being a threat to make it to the AFC title game, is really down to the Bills and the Chiefs.
right.
But the Steelers they will make it interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Steelers have a good team. I like how Russell Wilson is playing. He's back to like vintage Russell Wilson. even with them, it's like I don't know how far are they going. You know what I'm saying? How like is anybody picking the Steelers to get to the Super Bowl?
No, I mean only.
So
I mean only the their most diehard fans would, but nobody would. Nobody that's objective would.
right. Even in the NFC, like the only threat the Eagles had was the Commanders. That's their threat. Dallas is garbage. The Giants are trash. That is the only threat. Is the whole season was the Commanders. You know what I'm saying? And I like
Mm-hmm.
the fact that a rookie QB like Jaden Daniels could go to the Commanders and turn it all around. They've been playing great. I want to see what they can do in the postseason because they could be a dark horse too. They like nobody's picking them depending on their matchup. What if they go far? What happens then? You know what I'm saying? So I salute to Jaden Daniels for turning that whole franchise around. They've had a lot of bad years, and I think that's the QB of the future moving forward. The Giants are garbage. They need to clean house. I would fire the coach, fire the general manager, and start over. The fact that they can let Saquon Barkley leave, and that was your best offense, and you sent him to the Eagles. That
I
already
think
showed me like, yo, they don't know what the hell they doing over there.
I think Dion made a big mistake talking about his concerns over who drafts his son in the public.
Right?
Like Archie
Exactly.
Manning, he was orchestrating having Eli not play for the San Diego Chargers
Chargers.
behind the scenes.
Right.
He forced the trade from San Diego to New York by pulling strings. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if Dion has. Look, Dion, he's very charismatic. He's iconic. But I don't know if Dion has the pull where he can, like say if the Giants draft Shador, I don't know if he has the pull to force
Mm-hmm.
a trade elsewhere.
I don't. My whole thing is I'm so against this whole mentality of you being drafted and depending on where they go, they don't want to go there. They want to get drafted. They want to get traded somewhere else. I don't feel like they should have that type of power to orchestrate a trade. Back in the day when you got drafted to that team. You have to go to that team and play. It wasn't no, oh well, I just got drafted to this team, but I don't like the team, so I want to orchestrate a trade somewhere else. People forget Kobe Bryant got drafted by the Charlotte Hornets, and then he got traded to the Lakers for Vladdy Divac. Now, what would have happened if Kobe had played for the Charlotte Hornets? He could have been a five-time
He
champion with the Hornets.
well, first of all, the had they had Kobe play for the Charlotte Hornets, he would he would have led his team to the playoffs. But as far as winning
But we don't
titles,
know that though. We don't know that. They could have built a championship team around Kobe Bryant in Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? We don't know that because he never got a chance to play with them. He got traded to the Lakers and look what happened. Five-time champion, a legend.
but the
You
reason,
know,
but geography means a lot. Like even with Kobe, you know, the which what free agents would want to go to Charlotte. I
it
mean,
has it is it really is it really about is it really about location now? Like, is it really a thing where, oh, well, based on the nightlife or whatever, they don't want to go to these cities? Is it really has it really come down to that? Or I mean, if the team is winning, if you were the Cleveland Cavaliers and you're in first place in the Eastern Conference, does it really matter about location? Y'all are in a position to be the one seed in the playoffs and maybe can go farther than that, and nobody picked them to even, you know what I mean? So is it really about location now?
athletes have different priorities other than winning. It's been proven. Like how many players have we seen forego going to a team in a smaller market, even if they had the opportunity to contend for a title, but go to a bigger market because you know they have bigger opportunities for endorsements. You know, the nightlife. You know, like other motives are in play other than winning.
Giannis stayed in Milwaukee and won a chip in Milwaukee, so it can be done. You don't need to go to a big city to win a championship. You know what I'm saying? He already proved that.
And
Like
now
LeBron wanted to leave his own hometown team to go chase rings in Miami with Wade and Bosh, and then he left Miami and went to LA. And Miami's a big city, so
and now
what
Giannis asked for a trade just recently,
did he ask for
and
a trade?
well, it's been well. Let me take that back. It's been rumored that he asked for a trade. I think. Well, let's take Cleveland for example. Once LeBron left Cleveland, Cleveland returned to being a bad team.
They're number one. They're number one in the Eastern Conference. They're not bad at all.
No. I'm talking about when LeBron was there.
Oh,
And then once he left for LA, the team returned to being a lottery team. So
and they got the right picks.
But the fact that they returned to being a lottery team means that they have a bad history with drafting. They don't draft enough great players to sustain themselves even after great players leave. Whereas with a franchise like the Lakers, Kobe could leave and they'll still remain above water. So I get what you're saying. We'll never if Kobe would have played for the Charlotte Hornets, we don't know if he would have had the same career, the same achievements in Charlotte as he did in LA. The probability would probably be lesser.
And let's not forget, Kawhi Leonard went to Toronto. Toronto's a big city. They went to Toronto. He went to Toronto and gave them a championship. So you mean to tell him? So if he had stayed, would they win more championships? Would they have been able to get all the big name players in Toronto?
But wasn't Kawhi traded from San Antonio to Toronto?
Yeah, he got traded, and he didn't ask to be there, but he made the best of it. And look at that, he gave them their only championship, and that's a big city.
And then what did he do after that?
He left. But I'm saying if he had stayed there, if he stayed in Toronto, would they win more championships if he was there?
I believe so, because
he wanted to go back home. And you saw what you saw. How has that turned out? He went back home to California. The Clippers have not won shit with him there. Like they got rid of Paul George. Paul George went to the Philly.
But here's one factor that we haven't taken into consideration. Kawhi Leonard is often plagued with injuries. So if Kawhi would have stayed in Toronto, who's to say that he would have, played, 60% of those games? And if he would have played, who knows how his production would have been hampered.
They just managed to get him at the right time, and they took advantage of it, and they got a championship out of that. But you know what I'm saying? That I don't believe in that whole you got to go to a big city to win, because that wasn't always the case.
I mean, there's always outliers. Like there's always exceptions to the rule. And you're right. Toronto, they were primed to break through, and Kawhi came at a time when they had the horses.
Right.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like Denver won a championship, and their biggest star is their center. You know what I'm saying? And is Denver considered a big city? I don't see a lot of stars, running to play with Jokic.
Well, Denver isn't a
Now you're hearing
metropolitan.
rumors there's rumors
It
of they're going after what's his name, the dude from the Bulls, I forgot his name, the light skinned cat. They're going after him supposedly, but he's always injured. You know what I'm saying? They got Russell Westbrook, but it's not. I don't hear LeBron trying to go to Denver, or Jimmy Butler. You know what I'm saying? I don't hear him trying to go to Denver.
But Denver is the biggest
You know what I
city
mean?
in Colorado, but Denver also isn't a cosmopolitan city where there's a
Right.
lot of uh, urban attractions. So, and also the Denver Nuggets, they really drafted around Jokic.
Right.
So they played the long game. But how many times have we seen teams give up prematurely because they expected to get to the championship, and their expectations were failed.
Right.
Before
Zach Levine.
5 years.
That's right. They're supposed to be going after Zach Levine. Supposedly, that's who they looking to
Well, he's a great
to get.
3-point shooter.
Yeah, but he can't. He's always injured. He can't stay healthy, and he's never been on a playoff team. He's been on a lot of bad teams. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, if a healthy Zach Levine, how much could he do for Denver to get them back to the finals?
Well, it depends on what's that. What's the asking price? If it's low risk, I think it would be. I think it would be good for Denver to pick him up. But you have to you have to know going in that you're not going to get exactly the thing that's going to be at full strength, if at all.
Right.
Maybe maybe you can use him, during certain stretches, like maybe 10, 15 minutes at most.
I'm not giving up Michael Peterson Jr. for Zach Levine. I think he's one of Denver's best players, and he's a great 3-point shooter. I'm not giving him up for an unhealthy Zach Levine. What for? What? How much better does that make them in the Western Conference? Like, okay, you got Zach Levine. He's not going to be 100%. At some point, he's going to be, even if he get there, he's going to be injured. So it's like, does that put them in the top 2 or 3 in the West? I don't think so.
No. You don't mortgage for farm for a player like Zach Levine, but like the only way I could see this happening, like maybe be like one of those scenarios where you have like a free team trade where there's like another player that's in the mix that can kind of make up, for the salary, to make it close to equal. But
Right.
yeah, like what makes Zach Levine valuable is that he's lean.
Mm-hmm.
He's tall, and he had a certain amount of physicality that you can use, but you don't make a move like that unless you can have him for more than past this year.
Right. All right, let's get to this album because we got a lot to discuss, and I got another podcast after this. So we are talking about the Snoop and Dre album, Missionary. This album was mentioned on Stephen A's podcast back in 2022. And it was the 30th anniversary of Doggy Style was coming up, and they wanted to do like what they call it is a spiritual sequel to Doggy Style. And we've heard about this album since 2022, 2023. We heard about it even early this year. We heard Snoop talking about Dre was mixing it back in April. I didn't feel like it was going to come out because I know when it comes to Dr. Dre and his many projects that he still has unreleased, it's always like just talk, but we never actually see the project come to release. So I didn't think it was gonna come out at all. I'm really shocked that it finally came out, but I had hope because he actually produced Marsha Ambrosius' latest album, Casablanca. That's all produced by Dre. It's phenomenal. One of her best albums. So once that came out, I think that came out in June. So once that came out, I was like, yo, maybe we will hear this Missionary album. And we've been hearing a lot about it. It came out last Friday. And I wanted to get your initial reactions about the album. And I mean, I had already reviewed this with Reg, but I wanted to do another live stream about it and get your initial reactions on the album and what you thought, and if there's any track that you love or tracks that you didn't like. So when you first heard this album, like tell me, like, before you heard the album, what was your thoughts initially when you found out they were coming out with an album? Because I know a lot of Drake fans felt like he's bullshitting. It's never gonna come out. He has many projects still in the vault, like the Dipset stuff that still hasn't seen a lot of day. Yeah, the Detox. We've been waiting for that forever. That'll never come out. And I what did you think when you first heard the news that this album was dropping?
When Dr. Dre and Snoop appeared as a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel show,
Mm-hmm.
they appeared on the show right after Dr. Dre's uh, induction on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I saw that. Yeah, that was good.
And Dr. Dre said he announced that Snoop's album Missionary, fully produced by him, will come out this year. And I was skeptical because this was in March.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Snoop said that this was in March, and he said Dre he's going to finish mixing in May.
Right.
Nothing about a release date, but Dre. Whenever Dre talks about mixing is like a 6 month to a year process with Dre. Like he spends more time, I
Right.
believe he spends more time mixing than he does producing.
I agree.
And maybe it has something to do with his tendencies to be a perfectionist. But he also announced that Eminem's album was going to come out in the summer. So I figured if Eminem's album was coming out in the summer, Snoop's album won't come out until maybe a year from now at the earliest. So I was
Right.
skeptical. And then I saw Dre give an interview with some media outlet, and he said that Sting was on the album.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we've heard Dre talk about artists that he's collaborated with, but it doesn't mean that the music will be heard by the public. But how many times have
Right.
you seen Dre in the studio with Nas or with Busta
Exactly.
Rhymes
Mm-hmm.
or with Dipset?
Yeah.
So
And we
I
still waiting
felt
for
so
that for those. We still waiting for those songs. Like they haven't been released. And I'm like, what is the wait? What's the issue? I don't understand. Why can't he release shit on time?
exactly. So Snoop Snoop had an IG post, and he announced the release date for Missionary on the 13th.
Right.
Okay, so I still was. I mean, when he announced the release date, I'm like, okay, well, once the release date nears, then I'll get my, I'll be excited about it. Then I
Right.
saw the commercial.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a decent commercial, but I was still kind of. I wasn't blown away by it. At this point, I'm like, just drop the album. We know,
Yes.
like you've already announced that the album is called Missionary. You've already announced some of the people that are going to be on it. Like, there's no need to further tease the album. So
Right.
that was my immediate reactions to the album.
And we got it's 16 tracks. There's you got some collabs on here with BJ the Chicago Kid and Method Man, 50 Cent, Eminem on one track, Coco Sarai, Khan. Even Dre even had help on the production. He had Fred Reck, he had Sam Snead. Y'all remember Sam Snead from Death Row? He helped him with production on here, the ICU. And the first track they were on Drink Champs last week, and they were like previewing a couple tracks, and to me, like the best songs on this album were the ones that they previewed on Drink Champs. For me, I think those are the ones that we're gonna talk about that, but I think those are the ones that should be like the future singles on the album. But the first song we have is Foreplay with BJ the Chicago Kid. What did you think about this intro? Because I felt like when I heard the intro, I felt like we was gonna get like another. We should have gotten like a doggy style type of, like the bathtub intro. I thought we should have got something like that for this intro, and we didn't get that. This was more soulful. You had BJ the Chicago Kid, very underrated artist. I think he's not mentioned enough. But I mean, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was a great intro, especially for a title like they named the intro Foreplay. I think that should have been more, you know, give us that doggy style X rated intro. That I really felt like they messed up on the intro. But what did you think?
The It's a strange opening track because when you hear, okay, I get it. The title of the song is a play on the album title. I
Right.
get that. Um, the when I heard, first of all, BJ Chicago Kid, he's a good singer. It's just that I didn't want to hear high falsetto singing so so early in the album.
Right.
And when I heard the song, I knew it was a musical interpolation of "People Make the World Go Round," and so many people have flipped that song,
Mm-hmm.
but I just
Yeah,
felt it was, for the opening track, it didn't have enough pizzazz to it. You
I
know, I
agree.
when I heard it, I can hear the heavy kick drums, I can hear chimes, but the falsetto lead singing and the female background singers, they were they were too prominent.
Yeah.
And I can, the guitar and the keyboards doubling the same lead line. The two notes that open the song, it kind of gives a very hypnotic feel. It's a standard bass line to me, and for me, this song is unnecessary. Like,
I
I
agree.
did not feel that this song is so important that you had to include it first. I feel like this would have been a better interlude in the middle of the album.
I agree. My
And
thing is,
mhm,
my whole thing is Snoop Dogg at the age where he can't be raunchy like he used to be. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're calling this album a spiritual sequel to Doggy Style, I'm expecting to hear those type of tracks. Like, give us like a real raunchy intro. You know what I'm saying? Like when people first put on Doggy Style and they hear the bathtub intro, that was raunchy for that time. I'm expecting to hear a raunchy intro like that. Is he older now to the point where he can't do raunchy material anymore?
I don't look at Snoop as being somebody that is a prude. Like,
Right.
like if you listen to the lyrics on this album, like he still says wild, erotic things He still like he even said on this album like he still don't give a fuck after 30 years. So I don't
Right.
think that I don't think he doesn't want to be raunchy anymore. I think it's hard to recapture that same energy now that you're 30 years older, even if you still have the same beliefs.
Right. I agree too, but it's like he's Snoop Dogg. I guess what I'm saying is being that he's a grandfather now. He has so many other business endeavors that we didn't see none of this in '93 when he first came out. It's a different Snoop Dogg, but you know, is it a mistake to call this album a sequel to Doggy Style? But when you hear a lot of the songs on here, they don't remind me of Doggy Style. It's more of a more grown up Snoop Dogg, and that's great. But it's like if you're gonna, this is why I hate when these artists do sequels to their original albums because that time and that era and energy is not there anymore. And it's like it's hard to try to recreate that in the same vein 30 years later. You know what I'm saying? So it's like and you name the album Missionary. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So it's like where's the raunchy intro that we got on Doggy Style? You know what I'm saying? Where's the, you know what I mean? So it's like it was a big letdown for me to hear that intro, and I'm like, this is all we got. Dre's production even is different now than it was back in '93. Like I noticed with his production, it's more orchestra and strings with his production now. So it's more like live instrumentation compared to when he did the Chronic and Doggy Style, and you know what I mean. It's very different production. Even on the Marsha Ambrosius album Casablanca was very jazzy. He used a lot of familiar samples that was used on other hip hop songs, but he adds a lot of instrument like live instrumentation to his production now. That's something he wasn't doing before. You know what I'm saying? So it was like the intro was like a big letdown for me.
Yeah, I think Dre's production style, I think you can describe it in one word: lush. Like
Yeah.
the like the sound is much closer to something that you will hear in terms of, well, like when you listen to smooth jazz, like you listen to how
Mm,
clean the recording is, or listen
right.
to jazz stations, like everything, the recording is very crystal, it's very pristine. There's nothing gritty about it. Even on Doggy Style, there's a certain um, not that it's lo-fi because it wasn't, but
Mm,
there was a certain aesthetic that made it um, that made it hardcore. This is not a hardcore album, not to me.
right.
So I think maybe
Yeah,
the
I agree.
difference is Doggy Style was a hardcore rap album that took no prisoners. He didn't care who he offended, and it was right at the height of the tensions between a lot of activists in the community that objected to lyrics like Snoop, like C. Loris Tucker, Calvin Butts. They objected to the lyrics on Doggy Style. On Missionary, it some of the themes are still there, but once you know what to expect lyrically, it's not shocking anymore. It becomes
Right.
standard fare.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I
I
do
agree.
I do.
Mm,
There's one. I have one critique of the song that it
mm,
doesn't bother me, but it's just an observation. You know how when Drake said, "You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge."
mhm,
It is nostalgic, but considering Ice Cube released a new album called "Man Down" 3 weeks ago, I think that
mhm,
phrase would have hit more because Cube and Dre belong to the group that popularized the phrase that Dre coined.
Right. I agree.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. Like yeah, like when I heard that part, it was nostalgic to hear, but yeah, I don't feel like it fit this album. You know what I'm saying? Compared to like Ice Cube's album, I think it would fit more on his album. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Track two we got Shangri-La, produced by Dre and Sam Snead co-produced it with him, and they used the same sample, the same Ahmad Jamal sample that De La Soul used for Stakes is High on that title track that Dilla produced. Rest in peace to Dilla. This was okay. I like the beat. Snoop had some nice lines on it. It's nothing that wowed me though. I didn't go back and rewind this like, yo, I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like I gotta hear this track again. It was okay, after like a disappointing intro. What did you think about this track?
This is the real opening track. I dig this song.
Okay.
Uh, Snoop's rapping hasn't sounded this good in years. Snoop's
I
vocal
agree.
phrasing and tone,
Hmm.
it's loud and even. Like
Right.
one of my main criticisms of The Dogfather, Snoop's second album, is that he was rapping in a whispered tone. Like you can barely hear Snoop on that album. And I think
Hmm.
Dre cleaned up a lot of the problems Snoop had vocally. Like rap, you don't have to scream, but
Yeah.
rap, loud enough for the listener to hear and decipher what you're saying. And I think Dre did a great job coaching him. Um, it's one verse from Snoop, detailing the length of time that has passed as Dre fully produced Snoop.
Hmm.
For 30 summers, he talks about for 30 summers we've been waiting for their reunion. And
Right.
what makes Snoop who he is that Snoop has always had a smooth and melodic voice without singing. Like there's times where Snoop will employ singing, but just his natural voice is very smooth. And
I
I
agree.
think this track really does a great job uh, of of highlighting that.
Dope. Track three we got the Out of the Blue. This was one of the first songs that they teased as well before the album came out. They have like a long form video out right now. This is one of my this might be my favorite track on here. Like I love the beat switch up. You got Dre and Snoop trading bars, and Dre's only on two songs, rapping on the whole album. And I thought we was gonna get more, but it's only two songs, and this is one of them. And I love the back and forth with them. Like I said, like the beat switch was dope. The chorus was fire. The long form video I don't really care for. I don't understand what they were trying to do with that, with the whole story with that. I don't think it was needed. But as far as the track itself, I think the track is banging. It's one of my favorites on this album. So what did you think about it?
This is a very busy song. There is so
Yeah.
much going on musically.
Hmm.
This sounds like Dre used every track on the digital mixing console with countless overdubs. Like
Right.
one of the things on this album that I'm going to point out is that a lot of this music feels overproduced to me.
So
For
I've been hearing that too. I've heard other people say the same thing.
for example, the words that the female singer is singing in the chorus
Hmm.
is indistinguishable. I can't make
Yeah.
out what she is saying.
I don't know what else she's saying. It sounds dope. I just don't know what she's saying.
Yeah, and maybe that's by design. Like I,
Hmm.
I would love to know Dre's thought process, but it just sounds like air pollution.
Right.
You know, I am I like this song. It's not one of my, it's not my favorite song, But I did enjoy hearing Dre and Snoop trading bars. I enjoy Snoop's rapping on here.
Mhm.
Um, but I gotta deduct some points. Um,
Right.
this is like the elephant in the room. Dre is not a rapper. He's always said that.
Right.
So Dre sounded cringe
You
saying
think
the.
so?
Let me ask you a question. When
Yeah.
he said, "Yeah, I've been around the world," I. You like that part?
I just thought it just fit the song. You know what I'm saying? I'm not see like I don't critique like when it comes to like Dre or Swiss Beats or Jermaine Dupri, I don't critique their lyrics because I know they're not like true lyricists. They're not like you know what I'm saying? Like it'd be different if it was like Lost Professor because he could do both or Q-Tip. I don't critique Dre's rhymes like that. It's like it's passable. Like I could listen to it. You know, it does what it needs to do. That's what I felt on this track. Like he did what he needed to do. You know, with the back and forth with Snoop. You know what I'm saying? And that we haven't heard that in a long time from Dre and Snoop. So it was just good just to hear them both on one track. You know, rhyming rap back and forth with each other.
When Drake said that, who's the first rapper that you automatically think of?
I mean, I thought of I thought I don't want to say his name. I thought of Diddy. I thought of Puffy and Mace. You know, I know they did that on what was it
Been around the
was
world
Been
from
Around
the
the
No
World.
Way
Been
Out
Around the World.
album.
Yeah, yeah. I
Biggie
thought of
said
them,
those
but
words
I
during
mean,
the chorus.
right. I thought of that, but I was like, you've heard artists do that before though. Like Lisa Stansfield, they've quoted that part of her song before, so it wasn't. You know what I mean? I just it was just good to. I mean, because it's been so long that we heard Dre and Snoop together on anything. It was just good to hear them on a beat that just it was different, and I liked it. You know what I'm saying? Like the video is another story, but the track itself, I think the track is fire.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that when Drake said the "Yeah, I've been around the world," it doesn't sound pleasing to the ear.
Right,
I mean that's just me. Like whenever I hear that part, I immediately think of Biggie singing the chorus from "Been Around the World" from the No
right,
Way Out album, and I
right,
just felt that was done better. And um, and I know the person uh, who that song is credited to, whose name should go unnamed. I know he's
right.
persona non grata, but I just felt like, man, I just wanted to I would want to ask uh Dre, knowing what you know now, would you still want to keep that part in?
So that part alone is what ruined the song for you, or you just don't like the song at all?
I mean, it didn't ruin the song for me, but it just I just I had to stop what I was doing and and process what I just heard.
When I heard it, and I'm like, this is a club joint. Like the sonically, it's clear. Dre was always great sonically. I could bump it. Is you know what I'm saying? And you got both Dre and Snoop on it, and then that beat switch. The beat part. I want to say that the Roots also use that beat for without a doubt on Things Fall Apart because the beat sound real similar to that. You know what I'm saying? It might not be the same drums, but it's similar. You know what I mean? That when the drums kick in on the song, but I thought it was fire. I just don't like. I don't understand why they have to do a whole long form video for it. I'm like, it wasn't needed, and I don't even understand what the hell is going on in the video. They try to make it like a little mini movie. I'm like, this is not Murder Was a Case. Like that was classic. Like we understood what was going on with in that long form video. I don't know what the fuck they were doing. I think they just wasting film just to say that they did something. I'm like, they could have just did a regular video for this track, and I would have been happy with that. But I like the song. I think it's fire.
I mean, they clearly thought that they had a home dinger because Dave Myers directed the video. So,
Yeah. But what
so
I mean, the whole thing with them, there's a lot going on in that video. I don't know. It looked like they were influenced by different movies and shit, but I just didn't see what was the point of all that. Like, you could just give us a standard video for Out of the Blue if they want to get. They should have had a video for Gorgeous also, because that was really the first single, and there's no video for that. Even though they played, there's like a part in that video with Janae Aiko in the nightclub, and they played the song, but there's no video for it.
I agree.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
It's like they were just doing too much. They were doing too
I
much
mean,
with that
I,
video.
I saw the video one time, and I just,
Yeah.
clicked to something else. It was
Right.
not
I was like,
memorable at
they
all.
were promoting that like it was some big event. I'm like, this is what you all was promoting? Like, you just gave us a regular video for Out of the Blue and a video for Gorgeous and call it a day. We didn't need no, they got 50 Cent in the cameo and all this other bullshit. I'm like, what is all that?
I'll
What
be
y'all doing?
honest
Like,
with
you know what I
you.
mean? So
I think it would
mm,
have been a better idea if 50 Cent would have directed the video. At least it would have been more interesting because 50, whenever he does a film project, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get street life. It's going to be gangster. It's going to be hardcore,
right.
and there's not going to be any ambiguity around the concept.
Right. All right. Let's get the track 4. We got Hard Knocks. This was also produced by Dre, and it was, I like the beat for this. This was who else is on here? You had Snoop said some dope lines. There's also another beat switch on here as well. So we have 2 tracks back to back with a beat switch, and the beat switch kicks in at 2 minutes. You got some strings on here. You got like some kids on the chorus on the hook. Snoop had some nice lines. On here. Money was the fucking case. That's the killer Cali way. Ricky in the alleyway. Just another Saturday. Referencing Boys in the Hood. With Ricky getting shot in the alley, and I liked it. Again, it wasn't nothing that wowed me. That like I gotta go back and replay the track. But it was cool. It was a good track. It wasn't nothing that stood out to me. What did you think about this one?
Hard Knocks is my favorite song on the album.
Really, your favorite on the album? Okay.
I'm gonna say it again. Hard Knocks is my favorite
Wow.
song on the album. It's the song I
Wow.
play more often than any song on this album.
All
Like
right.
this is this is Dre's best produced song on this album.
Wow.
This should have been the first single.
Really, you would
Like
have made this the first single?
absolutely. Like
Okay.
whoever was the A&R that heard this album and did not make a case for this song to be introduced to the public ahead of this album needs to be fired.
Wow.
It's way better than Out of the Blue to me.
I feel you.
And
I mean, it might be a single. Who knows? It might be the next single. I don't know. I don't know what they planning on dropping from this album, but I mean, I tell me why. Tell us why you felt like it was the best song on here.
okay, musically, there's a double snare roll on the downbeat on this song that is heavy and funky. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like when you look like once the song comes in, you can hear it.
Right.
And it has to be a live drummer, but that double snare roll on the downbeat
Uh-huh.
is very heavy and pronounced. And
Right.
the second half of the song, the drummer switches to playing on the rim of the snare, and
Mm-hmm.
it is absolutely a very funky song. Like if you take the
Right.
vocals off, you can give this song to any kind of artist, regardless of genre. And I'm gonna
You
say
think so?
this: Oh yeah, like you can get like you can give this song like uh to an R&B artist, to a jazz artist. I mean obviously they'll change the arrangement and
Right.
they'll use different chords, but the the core of the song
Yeah.
is where uh Dre is at his best. And Snoop's ghostwriter worked overtime to give Snoop the best rhymes on this song.
I didn't know Snoop had a ghostwriter.
Whoa, 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 whoa! You didn't know Snoop had a ghostwriter?
Yeah, I did not know that.
Like,
My bad for thinking for 30 years that Snoop was writing his own shit. I did not know he had a ghostwriter.
no, he talks about you know, um, he talks all the time about how corrupt wrote this for him. You
Right.
know how um, how this little homie wrote this for him. Like he's very open
I've heard
about
about
who
the
writes for him.
DLC support the DLC like helped them with doggy style and all that, and I've heard that about that stuff. But I mean, even now after 30 years, he still has a ghostwriter.
When you hear Snoop rap, do you hear someone that is thinking about being the best MC on the planet?
I mean, I think yeah. I mean, I feel like everything that he does musically is to be the best at it, and this is why he's still around and still relevant for so many years. You know, I mean, think of
It,
like how many artists from his own from that decade from his own from the genre that is not relevant anymore. You know what I'm
but if
saying?
that's
He's one of the very few.
but if that's the case, why isn't Snoop in the top 10 of greatest rappers of all time?
I don't feel like a lot of people look at him, a lot of heads look at him like he's one of the best lyrically. I think he was at one point. I remember,
And that's why you
seeing
need
him on Arsenio
ghostwriters.
Hall.
And that's why you
I
need
know, but I'm
ghostwriters.
saying, but was there no? But I'm saying, was there a conscious decision to? But did he always? I don't feel like he always had ghostwriters. I feel like there was a point when he was doing deep cover and he when he came out with a doggy style that he was writing his own stuff. But I noticed a change lyrically at some point. Like he didn't sound the same anymore. So maybe that's when he got the ghostwriters. I don't feel like he always had the ghostwriters though.
Like early on, like on the Chronic and Doggy Style, I believe
Mm-hmm.
he wrote for himself. Now,
Right.
if you
That's the Snoop
remember,
Dogg that I love.
and if you remember when the Dogfather came out, people trashed not just the production, but his
Mm-hmm.
rhymes, him lyrically. So
Mm-hmm.
throughout the years, he has, said from time to time that such and such will write for me just to, uh, you know, strengthen me lyrically. Like even like when he talked about how the process of writing Still DRE was, Snoop was struggling
Mm-hmm.
to write Dre's verses, so Dre had to ask Jay Z to write
Right.
the song.
I remember that.
So,
Yeah.
and to me, I think the reason why Snoop has ghostwriters is because as an MC, he can freestyle, but as
Mm-hmm.
far as actually, writing an entire album, he's weak lyrically.
I mean, and that's maybe why people don't look at him as one of the best lyrically because he has that ghost rider. You know what I'm saying? It's how we look at Drake. Like I never put Drake in the big three. I don't know where the hell that came from. Maybe from his fans. I never felt like he was on the same level of Kendrick or J. Cole. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, I guess because he outsold those artists that people put him in the big three. I'm like, he was never in that big three. Especially when you got Ghost, when that whole thing came out with Quentin Miller being his ghostwriter, that already fucked you over. like for life. Like in hip hop, when you have a ghostwriter, that already fucks you over. So I never looked at him like, oh, well, he's in the big three with them.
If you look at Busta Rhymes, Busta Rhymes, he has been in the business just as long as Snoop, right?
Right.
They both debuted in '91. Leaders of a New School, uh, a case of the PTA, and Snoop
Yeah.
on Deep Cover.
Mm-hmm.
They both have classic albums. They both have great runs, making cameo appearances on other people's songs. They are both
Mm-hmm.
great live performers. However,
Yeah.
who do most people rank higher as MCs? Buster
Buster.
or Snoop?
It's Buster. Buster.
And for somebody that's been in the industry for more than 3 decades, Method Man is ranked higher than him. Redman is ranked higher than him.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm talking about MCs that were in the '90s. Method
Right.
Man,
I mean, well, there's a lot.
Redman,
There's a lot.
Nas,
Mm-hmm.
Biggie, Jay Z, DMX.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, who else? Uh,
There's a lot. There's a lot of
but but
MCs.
but
You know,
but
even
but
Eminem.
all of those cats are always placed higher than Snoop,
Right.
and the reason
Lyrically,
for that is because lyrically Snoop is lagging behind them.
I agree. But musically, he has classic albums, just like them, just like Buster. You know,
Does he?
he does.
I mean,
I I've always said like
beyond.
after the doggy style, after doggy style, I don't feel like and I've been on other platforms where people will say they'll swear to you that they felt like Dogfather was a classic. I don't think it was. I think it was good, but there
Whoa,
was
whoa, whoa!
still
Who
album filler
says
on
Dog
that
Five is a
album.
classic album?
I've been on platforms and the same platforms I was on, you was on that I seen you on there, and people on there will say that Dogfather was a classic. I never felt like it was a classic. It had some joints, but there was album filler on that album, and he just sounded bored. He didn't. You could tell like from Doggy Style to that album, the energy was gone because Dr. Dre was not there. You know what I'm saying? And they that shit came out right after Pac died, so everybody was more focused on Machiavelli than Dogfather. But
So if the Dog Father is a classic album, okay, I want like put up Jump the Boogie up against any song from Doggy Style.
I
What are you
agree with
choosing?
you. I agree. But I listen. I personally know heads that told me themselves they feel like Dogfather is a classic, and I'm like, y'all are fucking nuts. I don't feel like it's a classic on no level with Doggy Style. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, like he don't even perform those songs. Like I saw him in 2019. He didn't perform nothing from Dogfather at all. He skipped that album.
Yo,
Okay,
he
he
also
skipped that album.
he also did not perform any song from Dogfather in his versus battle with DMX.
Exactly. Why did he? Why did he skip that album? Because it wasn't good. The same way Kane, when Kane, when you see Kane in concert, he don't do nothing past the second album because a lot of his fans felt like he fell the fuck off and he went commercial. He don't do nothing else after it's a Big Daddy thing. Why is that? Because he don't like those albums.
I, I,
His
I
fans
would
don't like those albums.
this is what I would ask those people that say that Dogfather is a classic rap album. I would want like I would want to go back in time, and I would ask, you know what, Snoop, perform Snoop Upside Your Head. DMS can perform whatever song from his catalog, any song. I don't care if it was a hit. I don't care if it was a like an album song from his uh second to worst album out of his catalog. whatever song DMX pick, the people are going to pick DMX because Snoop Outside Your Head is so awful.
I do feel like he got better after Doggy Style. That whole No Limit run with it takes what's the name of the album? The
No
first
Limit
I
Top.
forgot the name. Huh?
Oh, the game is to be sold, not to be
Yes,
told.
that I love that album. I think that was a great comeback album from after Dogfather, and then Top Dog and The Last Meal. Those to me are his that's his best shit after Doggy Style. To me, that's his best shit after Doggy Style. And then you got the albums after that. You had right. I got that. I got as well. I got as well. I love it. And I'm not a No Limit fan, but I love the Snoop Dogg stuff on No Limit. I think that was like some of his best shit. Then you got Paid the Cost to Be the Boss. That was good. Rhythm and Gangster. I love that one. Blue Carpet Treatment, to me, that was a classic. But he's hit or miss. He has his mediocre albums. Madison Wonderland. Was it Madison Wonderland? I didn't like that album. Um, you got Kool-Aid was trash. He's ego tripping. That was trash. And I bought that the same day it got released, and that was garbage. So he's hit and miss when
Was
it
that
comes
the
to his
one?
albums.
What was that the one with sensual seduction on it?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That's the only track that they promoted from that album. Everything else was god awful on that album. And I bought that shit from FYE the day that it came out, and I regret buying it. But he does. I don't feel like he just has one classic album. I do feel like he has other classics, but for whatever reason, people don't talk about them. They just stuck on Doggy Style, and that's it.
And I think, for example, Snoop's first album on No Limit, the game is to be sold, not to be told. That was produced by Beast by the Pound. He was recording for a Southern rap label, so the music that he was rapping on was Southern. It had Southern beats, Southern
Right.
sensibilities.
But it
So,
was dope though. It was dope. Like yeah, he was using the No Limit producers, but it was fire.
oh yeah, I mean, my favorite song was the lead single, "Still a G Thing,"
Still G thing, right?
but it took the second No Limit album, No Limit Top Dog, for him
Stop
to
doing it.
find his footing.
Yeah.
To me, that was Snoop's best album on No Limit.
I love that one. That and Last Meal. Last Meal to me is a classic. I love Last Meal. I think I played
Yeah,
that a lot when that came out. I remember getting that for Christmas of that year when it was like 2000 that came out. Um, that was a great album. Like you got even the features he did with Eve, and he had cocaine all over that album, and Dre was on that album. I love that album. I think that's a No Limit classic. You know what I'm saying?
and
But like
Dre
I
did
said,
the
like he
entire
has his
mixing for that
classic, and then
record.
he has his huh?
And Dre did the entire mixing for the
He
Last
did the
Meal.
mix right, right, and he has his classics, and then he has his mediocre shit and some albums that he never should have released. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of other artists, but I do feel like he has other classics than just Doggy Style. I don't think that's just his one classic album.
Yeah, I think Snoop has, like, in the 2000s. I like Rhythm and Gangsta. I like
Mhm.
Blue Carpet Treatment.
Love that
I
one.
wouldn't call them
Mhm.
classic albums. There's classic songs on those albums. I think
Right,
classic means, to me, classic means that it captured the zeitgeist of that particular period. Like, what made Doggy
mhm.
Style a classic album was that he he came at a time when gangster rap had ascended, and it captured middle America. It captured uh, white people's attention in more
Yeah,
than NWA did in some respects. NWA captured white people's attention because it was anti-authoritarian. Snoop, on the other
right,
hand, like his flow, the way he looked, he captured something that was totally new, something totally unique, and it was on MTV all the time, gin and
Right.
juice, the shiznit, the the production matched Snoop's vocal delivery, and he broke the mold of all of the rap albums that came out in '93. I don't
Yeah.
think none
There's a
of them
lot.
were as innovative as Doggy Style.
I don't know. Enter the Stage. That's a great
I
album
mean, I
that
mean,
came out in 90.
I mean, also, the low end theory,
Right.
like like
When I'm Marauders came out in 93.
yeah.
You know what I
So
mean? 93 was a great year. But at the same time, like Snoop, at that time in the 2000s, he was hotter than ever on MTV. Like, when Beautiful dropped, that was a big hit for him. Drop It Like It's Hot, another big hit. So he was being played on MTV during that time. And I think a lot of his albums during that time reflected where he was at. And like, he wasn't doing gangster music like that no more. It was more about, let me drop this radio friendly joint and they're gonna eat it up, and that's what he was doing. And I felt like even while he did that, those albums were good. Like Blue Carbon Treatment to me is one of his best. You know what I'm saying? Pay the Cost to Be the Boss. And that was to me was one of his best albums. And
and
he had great production on that.
and what did Snoop have in his back pocket?
He had
In
Drake.
what
He had Drake.
you know he had Dre for the mixing of the last meal, but
Hmm.
he also had Pharrell Williams that
Yeah, well,
produced the
yeah,
entire album
right.
for was it the Blue Carpet Treatment or Rhythm and Gangsta?
That was for Bush. They Neptunes produced the Bush album.
Yeah, so you got like Pharrell gave some big hits with "Drop It Like
Yep,
It's Hot," "Let's Get
right.
Blown," "Beautiful."
Yep. He had
So,
Signs, Peaches and Cream. Yeah,
mhm. So
yeah.
Pharrell picked up the slack that Dre left. It was like a vacuum that Dre left uh, for Snoop that Pharrell kind
But
of
he
filled.
could have worked with Dre even back then. Like, but Dre was off doing shit for Eminem and 50. But Snoop could have called Dre up and like, yo, I need some beats for Blue Carbon. Dre actually produced on Blue Carbon Treatment. But he
But
could have used Dre at any point if he wanted to.
but why
You know what I'm
didn't
saying? Like,
he?
Dre was busy. He was busy with Eminem and with 50 Cent and G Unit and you know
Too too too
doing the
too,
Beats headphones and all that. So
too
I
busy.
don't know what the why I think maybe Snoop wanted to use other producers too. Like he used Primo, he used Alchemist and Fred Wreck and Battle Cat. He was using other producers. So I feel like he had Dre in his back pocket if he really wanted to, but for whatever reason he chose to use the other producers.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking like if Snoop had Dre in his back pocket, what like you think I was thinking to myself like you can't be too busy for one of your greatest proteges. Like I mean I get it. He had his hands full with Eminem, with
Mhm.
50, with G Unit. Um, who else? Who else was on his label at the time?
I mean, he had other people, but they didn't. Like, Joel Ortiz and Rakim, they never got a chance to come out. King T album gets shelved. Bishop Lamont. I don't know what happened with that. He had other artists, but the main people he was working with was Eminem, G Unit. He did stuff on the D12 first album. He did stuff on G Unit first album. So I think that's what it was. But I think at any point, so, I mean, like I said, like he did stuff on Blue Carpet Treatment. But if Snoop really wanted to do a whole album with Dre at that point, I felt like he could have did it. So for whatever reason, it didn't happen. We just now getting the album. But I felt like maybe a part of Snoop was like, yo, I want a different sound away from the gangster rap, and let me go work with the Neptunes. Let me work with Primo. Let me work with Alchemist. You know what I mean? So I think that's what it was too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I got you.
I track 5 we got Gorgeous. This was the first song that I heard from this album. The first teaser song with Janae Aiko on the chorus. Now I know there's some people I heard already feeling like she didn't need to be on the song. I think Janae Aiko is a dope artist. I didn't mind her on the hook. Marsha Ambrosius to me would have been better. But I think Janae Aiko was dope on this song. I like this to me is like vintage Dre. When I heard this beat, like the piano chords in it, it's just like 2000s Dre on here. And Snoop had some nice lines. I loved his flow. Show you how to do it properly. When you on my property, I'm a hot commodity. Boardwalk Monopoly. Loved his flow on this. This to me is one of the best tracks as well. Why there's no video for it? I have no idea. I don't know why you would do a whole long form video for Out of the Blue and not a video for this. It makes no sense. But I actually like this as a first single.
This is the closest song to classic West Coast G Funk because the piano riff at the beginning of the song, it sounds like a stock musical part played by Scott Storch on piano. And
right, I forgot Scott Storch was with him.
Yeah, and it really has a like the groove of the song dictates how Snoop performed on it. I feel like Snoop didn't do too much. Like he wasn't.
Right.
Like not to go on a tangent, but there's certain MCs where if they had the same track, they might over rap on it. Like, right. Like they'll try to cram as many syllables as they can. Regardless of the tempo of the song and regardless of the feel of the song.
Right. I agree. And Frederick also co-produced on the track too.
Yeah, that's another long time musician in Dre's camp.
Yeah.
Snoop was skating on this song. And Jane Aiko sounds angelic here, sweet sounding voice. This could be a hit on R&B radio if a singer got his or her hands on it.
Right.
And Dre made a great decision as a producer, letting the coda continue right after the final chorus had sounded. Like he just, I could see Dre being like, you know what, let the music, run for another minute and a half before fading out.
Mm-hmm.
This would be like a great summertime song if it was still in summer.
Right, I agree.
It's a dope song.
Oh yeah. Track 6 now we got Last Dance with Mary Jane featuring the late great Tom Petty and Jelly Roll, the country artist. And this is like a song which Snoop professing his love for weed. And I really enjoyed the song when I heard it on Drink Champs, and it has like the harmonicas being played by Tom Petty. There's an interview that Tom Petty had did years ago where he mentioned I think they had sampled this one of the Tom Petty songs, and he mentioned in the song that if Dre ever did it, it would be over. And from what Dre is saying, that Tom Petty's family gave him his vocals to use for the track. And when I heard it, it sounded like it has like a country meets gangster rap sound to it. So you have the guitars in there, you got the harmonicas being played by Tom Petty, then you got the beat by Dre and the bass line underlining the whole track, and then you got Snoop, professing his love for weed, and I loved it. I this should be a single. I think this is one of the best songs on the album. And Jelly Roll, I'm not familiar with all of his music yet, but I'm definitely gonna check him out, and I know he's done like a lot of collabs with he's starting to do a lot more collabs in hip hop. You know, he was on the Eminem album as well, and I like that collaboration he did with M for Death of Slim Shady, and he's on this album, and I thought Jelly Roll did his thing. Really enjoyed his vocals on here, and even on the chorus, even before the fame, she was my Nova King. Things won't change. I love that part where like Tom Petty's vocals is in that, and Snoop is rapping about serving fiends at 17, and I loved it. I think they need a video for this, not a long form video, a natural video for this, and just showing the diversity in the features, like having Sting on one track, having Tom Petty and Jelly Roll on one track, and Method Man is it's showing the diversity and how far Snoop has came from Doggy Style to now, and I like the fact that Dre made that known that at this point they could work with anybody, and I think they killed it on this track.
Yeah, I saw the video of Tom Petty saying that he believed Dre could do an amazing interpretation of this song, and
Right.
I feel like we're at the stretch of the album where it feels like Dre and Snoop wanted to perform karaoke over some of the best songs from legendary pop musicians. Honestly, this only makes me want to listen to Tom Petty's original tune. Because if you play this
Right.
song and then play Tom Petty's original, the only differences are Dre used hand claps in place of the snare and used closed hi hats.
Right.
Um, Again, I appreciate Dre trying to stretch out musically,
Mm.
but Snoop has many songs about his love for weed. He has many songs where he'll use a metaphor for his uh, love affair, with with the marijuana plant. Um,
Right.
I, I can listen to this song for what it is, but I think the expectations that I had before I heard this song was too high. Um, Jelly Roll is he's a great singer. I
Mm.
really admire his talent, and he's definitely one of the strongest musicians uh, in music right now. But it's so for me.
Okay. So you wasn't a fan of this track.
I I mean, there's other songs on this album that I like less than this,
Right.
but uh, I think musically it's standard fare. Like I'm thinking if Dre is going to you know do like a flip of this song, like flip it on his ear, like he's done that plenty of times. Like he did it with the next
Right.
episode, with David Axelrod. It
Mm.
it, it 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 sounds too close to the original for me to really uh distinguish it and kind of
See,
see.
I didn't hear the original because I didn't hear the original yet because I wasn't a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers fan. Like I knew like certain songs that they did, just seeing them on MTV back then, and but when I first heard the song, I'm hearing like the beat and the bass line and the guitar strings on it. And I'm like, yo, this is fire. You know what I'm saying? Like Dre and just to have Tom Petty and Jelly Roll, two artists from another genre, be on a Snoop Dogg album was, I just think it's just dope to hear Snoop collaborate with these other artists. And that's something that he wasn't we never could see that happening back in '93. what I'm saying? So he's come a long way. Like, he collaborated with Willie Nelson, and you know what I mean. So I just think it was just dope just to hear Jelly Roll and Tom Petty on the Snoop Dogg album.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that, and like maybe I think maybe if I just listen to it and suspend my preconceived notions about the
Right,
song, like
right.
like forget what I ever heard the original and just listen to it with fresh ears and listen to the
Hmm.
song as it was recorded, I
Right.
would get more out of it.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hear it first without critiquing it, and then you go back and critique it later. That's what I do with albums. I hear it first. Let me hear it as a fan, as a listener, and then if I gotta do a review on it, then I go back and critique it later. I don't want to do both at the same time because that's gonna cloud my judgment.
But the
You know what I'm saying?
problem was once I heard the first minute, I knew I could immediately recognize the melody. I could
Right.
recognize where they slow down the tempo. I mean, I've heard the original song so many times that that would have been harder for me to do. But you're absolutely right. Like that's what makes hip hop what it is. Like sometimes, you know, for example, Large Professor,
Mhm.
he can flip this song and he can flip it on his ear where the song is unrecognizable to the
Right.
naked ear. So so for me, I think Dre was faithful to the original so well that uh, you know that he made it impossible for me to judge it on its own. But that's
Right.
my that's for me to deal with. It's not a reflection on how good or bad the song is. It's just a matter of how I perceive it.
I feel you on that. All right, track 7, we got "Thank You." That's produced by Dre and the ICU. That's his team of producers. And this is they sample the Sly Stone, the classic Sly Stone song "Thank You." Um, I liked it. Like, this is another song that they previewed on Drink Champs. I liked it. Dre didn't really do too much. I mean, he used a sample, but they didn't flip it crazy. Snoop had some nice lines on here. I thought it was a nice track. What did you think?
This is the worst
Oh, wow.
interpolation of Sly Stone's greatest song. I've heard many great flips of this song.
Hmm.
Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis did a great job reinterpreting this song for Rhythm Nation. Bell Biv DeVoe did a great job flipping this sample for. Um, it was a song from the Poison album. What is it?
They
Ain't,
sampled it.
ain't, ain't, ain't nothing changed.
Oh,
The
ain't nothing
Bomb
changed. Yeah,
Squad,
yeah.
yeah, but the Bomb Squad sampled this
Right,
song
right,
to make Ain't Nothing Changed from the Bell Biv DeVoe album.
right.
The the thing that offended me, not literally offended me, but the thing that made my ears bleed was when Snoop during the chorus said, "Ay ay 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 ay." I hate that part. Like the damn hook was doomed when
Hmm.
Snoop said, "Ay ay 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 ay." Please excuse me while I kiss the sky. I'm surprised Dre even let that ride. Like what did he hear about Snoop singing that part that he thought, you know what, this one is a keeper? To me, it just sounds like the worst mashup of the Sly Stones groove in Jimi Hendrix's famous lyric. Um, like for me, I could play Sly and the Family Stone, and
Uh-huh.
I can and it sounds more contemporary than Snoop and Dre's bastardization of it. I don't like this song at all.
Oh wow. Wow.
Like that, and I'm sure there's going to be a big video for it. They're going to go all
I think
out
it's gonna be a
for
thing.
it, and I'm sure people will eat it up. But for somebody that loves funk music, it just it's noise pollution. I hate it.
Right.
And
All right.
I was thinking
Uh,
to myself, am I being too harsh? But I just like
no, I
there's
mean that
something.
you're speaking your thoughts on the album. So
Yeah, yeah.
um
I'm sticking with how I feel.
yes. Yes, do that. That's the joy of having these debates and conversations. So track 8, we got Pressure. Um I like the beat for this. The only issue the Snoop had a whack line on here, and that's when I got to question Dre, because you was right there when Snoop was recording all of this, and he said it's actually it's featuring Dre and Khan. Um, he had a whack line on here, and he said she said she want to eat a hot dog. I'm a relish it. Really, really, Snoop? This what? What? That's amateur league, man. That's not coming. That shouldn't be coming from a future Hall of Famer like Snoop Dogg. This is what you're saying. I got to
that,
question Dre on that. Like,
but
what are you letting him
that
do?
but that further strengthens my point that Snoop is not a great MC. There's a reason why he's not ranked in the pantheon of dope MCs because of lines like you just read.
I never felt like he was a great MC though. I felt like I noticed a change in his lyricism at some point after Doggy Style, but I never felt like he was great.
Yeah, this is the worst song on the album to me. I
I
this
like the
this,
beat
this,
though. I
this
like the
song
beat. I just felt like it wasn't, again, it wasn't nothing that stood out. There's a couple tracks on here that they didn't stand out. There's like some album filler on here, but then there's tracks that I did like. But this track was one of those tracks that did not stand out for me.
this song is god awful. I hate I hate this song. Like this is the song that I was talking about when I was talking about the last track.
Yeah.
Like I hate this song more than Thank You. I don't understand
Oh
how
wow.
this song made it on record. This should have been left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. We got track 9 is Another Part of Me featuring Sting. Um, I like this song. You know, Dre, it had like a police. I think Dre actually replayed like a police song in this, a sample from a police song.
It's a sample from Message in the Bottle.
Love that song. Classic record from the police. Um, the only issue I have with this song, I don't hear Sting's vocals on this song. Like where actually is his vocals? Where does he come in at? Because I'm hearing the record and I'm hearing the hook and I'm like, that's not Sting's voice. Unless he got like his voice got deeper or something. I'm not hearing Sting on the record. So where exactly is Sting on the record? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, I know it says featuring Sting, but I know Sting's voice. You know what I'm saying? I have the police records. I don't hear Sting on his record. So where exactly is he on the record? Was he just getting credit because of the sample?
When I saw Snoop and Sting performed their song on The Voice, I busted out laughing
Mm.
because Snoop and Sting, they're performing this, so I'm like, this is going to be like a chart busting hit. Like this is going to be ringing off in arenas and stadiums, and people going to be singing this song for years to come. And the way Snoop was dancing, like he was giddy, happy as can be. More power
Mm.
to Snoop. Now to the meats and potatoes of how I view this song. Another part of me, like Thank You, like Last Dance with Mary Jane, the decision to have live musicians replay the sample failed because this version does not distinguish itself enough from the original. This is
Right.
Snoop using his vocal persona of Snoop Lion to sing in a mock Jamaican voice like a Rasta. To be honest with you, Snoop's verses don't even matter here. I mean, it's not memorable. It's not even. It doesn't even make a dent with me. And I did not hear Sting's voice. Maybe it was buried in the mix. But again, Dre as a producer is iconic. But man, I gotta call out Dre's some of Dre's decisions as a producer on
Mm.
this song. I think if somebody, maybe Dre is too iconic, maybe it's too intimidating to actually give him constructive criticism. But I would have asked Dre, is it really a good idea for you to tweak your voice as if you're speaking over the PA system, like we're at an arena?
Yeah,
Because like,
why was that needed? I didn't feel like he needed to do all that. Like,
I mean, like he's yelling into it sounds like a megaphone, and he's trying to hype up the
yeah,
crowd.
right.
Like I can like if Snoop were to perform this song in concert, I'm sure there's going to be people that may be dancing because they're high and they just enjoy the vibes, whatever. But this is like
Right.
a good way to clear the stadium, clear the dance floor. We're going to the concession stand.
Right.
So
I mean,
again, this is another song where I go back to the original. I will listen to Message in a Bottle
right.
because, again, I appreciate Dre's ambition, but he pretty much replayed the same chords. The tempo was slower, but it's not like he chopped it up and he improved it by doing his thing as a DJ. Like it just seems like whack karaoke.
I like it. I like Snoop's flow on it. The only issue I had again was where was Sting on the song, because I know the guy that's singing on there is not Sting. That can't be Sting unless he had surgery on his vocal cords. That's not Sting. That's singing on there with Snoop. That's somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And I know. And if track says featuring Sting, I'm like, well, where is he in the background? If he's doing background vocals, Dre did a bad job of of showcasing his background vocals. It should have been more prominent on the track, and we didn't get that.
And the question that I also want to know, we'll never get the answer to this question, but being that Sting is very business savvy and considering how much Sting took a big percentage of the royalties from the "I'll Be Missing You" song. I wonder how much
Mhm.
did Dre have to give up to
How much he took
sing
on this?
the same.
I don't know. I mean,
But you know,
if he took
but
all,
but Dre's
mm,
a billionaire. I guess like whatever his thing was charging, it was like small
yeah, they
change
don't
to
need it.
him.
Yeah, you don't need it. Here, take all the royalties from the song. You don't. I don't need it. I like the song. I think this could be a single as well. I want to hear a different version with Sting actually singing on the record with Snoop. Because when I'm hearing that guy's voice on the record is not Sting. And if it's Sting, what the hell was he using? But that don't sound like auto tune. That's like
I,
another machine where it totally changed his voice to like a black person. Like that don't sound like Sting. So
like to me, like when I listen to Snoop's singing on this song, Snoop sounds like a white, like a white. Uh, you remember when Vanilla Ice wore dreads?
yeah, 94. That's 94. Yep,
Like
I remember that.
Snoop sounded like a white person singing reggae music.
Hey, I wasn't a fan of the Snoop Lion project. I didn't think you should have did it. I'm like, you're not Jamaican, and you definitely don't sound Jamaican. So that's a whole nother
I'm,
story. And
I mean,
somehow he
like
got nominated for a Grammy that year. I think the Grammy was nuts to
he
even
said, like
nominate that
this is,
album. But
but this is Snoop Lion in 2024. Like his vocal delivery to me is no different than Snoop Lion all those years ago. It's bad. It's a bad attempt at reggae. It's a bad attempt at trying to sound like a Rastafarian.
oh man, track 10 we got.
If you high, you gonna love this song.
Yeah, I guess. I like the song, and I was sober when I heard it, so I was not high. I was not on any drugs or anything, and I like the song. I just feel like I want to hear Sting's vocals on another version. But track 10 we got Skyscrapers. This one's featuring Method Man from the Wu-Tang Clan, and I love this track. The beat was hard. Method's verse was great. He don't disappoint on features. I think Method Man is one of the best when it comes to features. He had some great lines. I like the line he said, so Taylor made in my suit. I'm the Michael J in my group. Love that line. I thought it was a banger. What did you think?
Method Man easily had the best verse on this album.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like I felt it was a great change of pace to hear another rapping voice.
Hmm.
You know, like it's a great contrast because Snoop is very silky and smooth in
Yeah,
his rapping, and Meth is very gruff and has a certain gravitas that can't be replicated.
right.
Um, the horn section sounds like the horn section blowing. It sounds like a king walking to his throne with long fanfare.
Yeah,
Like like I can I can I just have a picture in my mind of the horn section just uh playing in unison. The percussion is very light and it doesn't distract from the other instruments.
hmm
It's definitely a it's definitely one of the better ones.
all right. Track 11 we got Fire. Now this one had like a dance hall reggae sound to it. To me, Snoop was trying to sound like Snoop Lion on here. I would have preferred Damian Marley on the chorus for this one, but it's not nothing that wowed me. Like it's skippable for me. What did you think?
Okay, on this song, the tempo picks up. I'm actually digging this song.
You like this one?
I yeah, I dig the reggae arrangement. You know, but like the bass line is the star of this song. But like,
Yeah.
especially when it has so much syncopation. Um, the percussion of the congas and bongos has a very strong presence that suits Snoop for whatever reason. Like this is like the at the point of the album where you can just dance and vibe out. Um, like Snoop's rapping is
Right.
back to where it should have been. It's a very joyful sound. So I really like this song.
And you got Coco Sarai on the song. That was the girl on the chorus. It was also co-produced by Frederick and Focus. I believe Coco Sarai is on Aftermath. I want to say one of Dre's newer artists coming out. You know,
I mean, we all know that's a euphemism for you know uh, album never coming out. You just going to work on this passion project
she'll be out in 2030 or some shit. You know,
out of a
um,
contract. You mean?
right. Track 12, you got Guns and Smoke featuring 50 Cent and Eminem. Um, I like the beat. I think M and Snoop had the best verses. I did not like 50 Cent verse on here. The way that he started it off, and he sounded like a mix between Crucial Conflict and Twister. I didn't know what the fuck he was doing, and I just felt like that flow wasn't needed for this record. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a fast beat to begin with. So I'm like, why do you sound like Twister on this beat? Because it wasn't needed. You know what I'm saying? But I think Eminem and Snoop killed it.
When I saw the song title, I expected the song to have a more sinister feel, something that's
Mhm.
menacing. Um, for reference, think of Alchemist or Havoc.
Right.
The music is very relaxed. Um, 50, 50 since he's been in Hollywood, he's really been hit or miss with his verses. Like the last time I heard 50 Cent rap, it was on that Nas song from uh, King's Disease
Oh yeah,
3,
that's right.
and 50 just
Hmm.
mailed that verse in. It was beyond mediocre.
Right.
So when I heard 50 Cent's verse, it sounded like he was trying to rap in double time, but it
Right.
wasn't needed.
It wasn't needed for this for the beat. That's why I was like, what are you doing, 50? Like you're gonna pick that double time flow for this record? It wasn't needed.
Yeah, but with that said, like I didn't hate the verse.
Right.
Um, I think for like 50, he actually uh did his best rapping in years over double time. But the thing is though, um, consider like rapping in double time for him is not natural,
Right.
especially considering the drum beat.
Hmm.
Um, but like there's been a lot of conjecture over the past couple of days that 50 took a jab at Kendrick. I think that's overblown because
Right.
if 50 really wanted to diss Kendrick, he would
He
have
would did
flat
it.
out said his name.
Exactly.
Like when has 50 ever been indirect?
He's never
Um,
done that.
absolutely. Like 50 is with the shits.
Oh yeah.
No matter the time or day.
Yep.
Snoop had the best verse in Understood the Assignment. Like Snoop,
Right.
Snoop knows how to rhyme to the groove of the bass. If you
Hmm.
notice, like Snoop knows how to rhyme to the groove of the bass, whereas with
Yeah.
M and 50, they were rhyming to catch the beat, and
Yeah.
M was rapping to the beat, like damn near fighting the beat. Um,
Right.
and uh, and last thing is Eminem's verse thematically is the same as his verses from "Don't Approach Me," his collaboration with Exhibit. You remember that song?
Hmm. I remember that. Yeah.
like to me, I feel like if you play Eminem's verse from this song and then play "Don't Approach Me," it's pretty much the same thing because Eminem he's he's rapping about fighting with the press, conflicted about fame, pulling guns on fans and paparazzi who trespass his property. I mean, it just in some ways he kind of in when I heard his verse, it kind of reminded me of his flow from the G Unit days because
Right.
he was trying to sound gangster.
Facts.
Yet, like you remember when Eminem went through a phase where when he was around 50, he was trying to sound gangster and street,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
bandana and having the gunshot sound effects.
Hmm.
like like M made me chuckle on some lines on this song.
Right.
Um, to me, like I think the sample of Biggie from Dead Wrong, I think it could have been better done. I mean,
Right.
you hear Biggie saying "guns and smoke" throughout the song, but to me, I feel like Drake could have did a better job at making better use of it.
The thing is like 50 has done collabs with M in the past where they were more mellow. Like the Love Me track from 8 Mile soundtrack, that was mellow. The Spend
Hmm.
Some Time track on Encore, that was mellow. So it's not like he hasn't done even more melodic songs with M. It's just that I don't feel like he needed to do the double time flow on this record. You know what I'm saying? And him starting it off like that, I'm like, no, this is not it, 50.
I even feel like 50 had better verses on what's that song he did with Eminem and Adam Levine back in 2010? Either
I
2010,
forgot. I know what you're
2011,
talking about. He,
2012.
he did it. I forgot it
It
was put out as a single, but it didn't. No, nobody was bumping it though.
Yeah, they shot a video for it,
Yeah,
and I
I,
felt
I
like
remember. I
Emmett,
remember the song.
and I feel like 50 had better verses than M,
Right.
and it's also notable he dissed Young Buck and Game on that song.
It was called My Life.
Yes, My Life,
Yeah.
like 50 dissed Game and Young Buck throughout that song, and I feel like when 50 is rapping like that, there's no one that can touch him in that lane. I can hear where he was rusty at on Guns
Yeah.
of Smoke.
Um. All right. Track 13. We got Sticky Situation featuring Coco Sarai and Khan. Uh. Uh. The beat sounded like Road to the Riches. The Cool G Rapper and DJ Polo with the pianos in it. That's what I got from it. But other than that, it didn't stand out to me.
Yeah, this song it's not good or bad. If it's a
Right.
standard fare for Dre, this sounds like an outtake from the Compton album to me.
You think so?
Yeah, like I feel like in terms of like the the stacking of pianos, um,
Yeah.
but I feel like Battle Cat has better beats in this style. To
Right.
me, like this song it's either here nor there for me.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just there.
skippable for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a skip for me. Track 14, we got Now or Never featuring BJ the Chicago Kid. Um, I like this song. I think this song should have been the last track on the album though. I think they put it too early within the track sequencing, the track list. This is the second song that we actually got Dre rapping on here, and he had a couple nice lines. Fuck you is just my expression of my profession. Been had an attitude since my adolescence, chasing perfection, never accepted no exceptions. I liked his flow on here. I just felt like the way that it sounded like a finale type of track that you end the album off with. I don't think it should have been track 14 on here. So what did you think about it?
Also, I also believe that this would have been a better closing track. Um,
Yeah.
of the songs that feature Snoop and rapping, of all of the songs that feature Snoop and Dre rapping, this one is the best song. Creme de la creme. Like BJ, the Chicago kid, he delivered the chorus
Yeah.
perfectly.
Hmm.
I like that the music is down tempo, like the dark minor chords that Dre employs. It's very bluesy, and it allows Snoop and Dre to be contemplative.
Right.
Um, Lyrically, this song does a great job chronicling how far Dre and Snoop have come in their careers. Um, uh, this is a this song is like a finale. You said it just right. The feel of the song, it feels like it has come to a natural conclusion. Like you
Yeah.
can, this is like in the movie theater when you bring the lights up, the curtains open, and people file out.
Hmm. Yeah. That's what it sounded to me. I'm like, this is how they should have ended the album off. Track 15, we got Gangsta Pose featuring Them Joints, Stallone, and Fat Money. I don't know none of these niggas. I don't even like the song. It was also co-produced with Them Joints, and I don't like the song. I don't like the beat. I don't care. That was like this was like Dre's or Snoop, I should say. This was like Snoop's version of a posse cut. I just thought it was whack. You could have gotten better people on this record. The Dog Pound or the East Siders both put out projects this year on Death Row. They could have been on this track. Anybody else? Like I don't know why they picked these people for the record. I didn't like it.
I'm going to say something that is going to it might be controversial. Snoop's flow at the beginning, to me, it was very reminiscent of E40's when he raps over Studio Tone and Mike Mosley. Like
Mm-hmm.
it sounds like Snoop was rushing and tripping over his words. Um, but the second half of this song should have been the track. The first half, it just sounds silly to me, and
Right.
I did get a chuckle out of the voice in the beginning. You know, there's a voice in the foreground in the first half saying, "You got me fucked up." Um,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned this is a posse cut, and the voice that keeps saying "gangster pose," the
Mm-hmm.
like this is a posse cut, and I believe Dre could have reached out to this one particular MC.
Right.
And I'm gonna give you a hint. This MC that I'm going to mention is also from Long Beach.
Warren G.
Mm-mm. And,
No.
and, and, and it's not Trey D.
It's not RBX, right?
No, not RBS. I believe Dre should have made a phone call to Crooked Eye.
Oh, Crooked Eye.
Crooked Eye would have done justice to this beat. But with that said, I don't know if Snoop would have felt comfortable having Crooked Eye murder him on his own shit.
I mean, he had Method Man with a better verse than him on his own shit. So, you know, why not?
Yeah, but I mean, Crooked Eye as an MC, like when he does, features, Crooked Eye sets out to obliterate that MC on that track. Like Meth is like there's a certain dynamic in competitiveness that Meth has that Crooked Eye may not have. Like to me, I think Crooked Eye would have looked at it as an opportunity for greater exposure and to make a statement that uh, like Snoop isn't the only great MC from Long Beach. I think Meth has a healthy
Facts.
respect for Snoop, same as Crooked Eye. But I think Method Man, he's iconic worldwide. He's iconic in Hollywood. He's iconic, for obvious reasons. But Crooked Eye, he would have looked at it as an opportunity to plant his flag and say, "I Snoop is not the only MC from Long Beach that can spit." So
Right.
when I
I
heard
agree.
Gangsta Pose, it sounded like Crooked Eye to me.
And then the last track you got, track 16, is The Negotiator, produced by Dre and Sam Snead and Dem Joints. And it was okay. I don't think I would have finished off the album with this track. It was just okay for me.
But Negotiator is very cinematic. It sounds like Snoop is talking heavy and taking this victory lap, for a career of 30 years.
Right.
I, to be honest with you, I feel the same way. I feel like the Negotiator is kind of. I feel like Now or Never was a better closing song because it was a song that came to a natural conclusion. But Negotiator just feels like it's belaboring the point. Like,
Right.
to anybody that has heard this album, Snoop has made it perfectly clear that he still feels he's gangster. He still feels he's uh, a West Coast Don, king of the DPG. Like he's already reiterated his standing in hip hop.
Right.
So it's okay.
And that is the album. So how are you ranking this? What was your favorite tracks? What was your least favorite tracks?
Oh, let me start immediately. My least favorite song is "Pressure." That was an easy one.
Yeah.
Um, my favorite track is "Hard Knocks." Um,
Okay.
I feel like that should have been the first single. I feel like there should have been a video for it. You know, uh, uh, as soon as the album was announced, because I feel like the way they have rolled out this album, I feel like Kendrick kind of sucked the air out of the room. Um, for Snoop.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I did like Shangri La
Okay.
as my second favorite, and my third favorite is Now or Never. So my favorite songs are Hard Knocks, Shangri La, and Now or Never. And my least favorite song
Right.
is Pressure.
Hmm. How you ranking it now? What are how many mics are you giving the album?
Like is the there were too many instances where I felt like the music was overproduced. I feel like Dre and Snoop were going out of their way to incorporate certain ideas. For example, I deduct points for Thank You. I did not like that song.
Hmm.
I deduct points for Last Dance with Mary Jane. And I can listen to Another Part of Me, but it once Snoop starts going into that Snoop Lion thing, I just try to ignore his rapping and just vibe to the music. So
Right.
there was too many songs where Snoop and Dre was inconsistent thematically. So 3.5, I feel is fair. Um, and to me, I think if this was Snoop's second album, like if I could, like if we could just, you remember in Men in Black where Will Smith had that pen where it can just wipe out your memory. If I could just wipe,
Right.
if I could just wipe out the memory of Dogfather and put Missionary in his
Mm,
place, I think
mm,
Snoop would have a better catalog. Like his standing in the pantheon of all-time greats would be a lot more even than it is now. So in my mind, now that I have Missionary, uh, uh, you know, to listen to, I in my mind I have Missionary as Snoop's second album. As strange as it might sound, that's how much I
right.
do not like Dogfather.
Wow. Interesting. So you're
Yeah,
giving it 3.5, Mike?
yeah, I think that's fair.
I had gave this 4 mics. I think I was being too generous when I gave it 4 mics. Like because not like playing this album couple times since last week. It's not gonna be one of those albums that has timeless replay value for me. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a couple tracks that I like. Like I said, like for me to the best tracks what was the ones they played for Norby. I think those are the best tracks. I think those are probably like the ones that'll be singles. Thank You and uh Last Dance with Mary Jane, and they played Gorgeous and Out of the Blue. I think those are gonna be the singles. There was album filler on here that wasn't good. You know what I'm saying? And the features were okay. They wasn't great. They wasn't mind blowing. Like I think Snoop Dogg has had better features on previous albums. I did like the Method Man feature. That was a good song. The joint with Sting. Even though I can't hear Sting's vocals, I think they need to do another version of that song with Sting on the chorus instead. You know, but it was album filler throughout this album. And I don't blame that on the sequencing. I just think like it was just album filler that really shouldn't have been on the album. And sonically it's still great because Dre was always great musically and sonically, and but it don't it like it's great to see our legends still putting out music. I don't feel like in hip hop that they should be like an age limit, because there's no age limit in any other genre. But people make a big thing about if an artist hit like a certain age, they shouldn't be rapping anymore. And I feel like Nas changed that whole thought process when he came out with 6 albums with Hip Hop at 50 years old, and he's still dropping quality rap. And we've seen it all year where we've had LL Cool J and Rakim and the East Siders and the Dog Pound, give us quality, consistent music. Common and Pete Rock as well. And I don't feel like this is gonna be a classic album. It's definitely nothing. I don't even look at it as a worthy sequel to Doggy Style, but it's great to see Dre and Snoop reunite once again and give us something. You know what I'm saying? I just wonder if they had reunited in the 2000s, what this album would have sounded like. I think it would have sounded a lot different than what we got. You know what I'm saying? And especially when Snoop was like he was red hot at that time. Doing coming out with Drop It Like It's Hot and Beautiful and Peaches and Cream and all that with Pharrell and the Neptunes, and I think if he had gave us this album in the 2000s, it would have been a lot better. So I'm gonna give it 3.5 now, even though I gave it 4 mics before. I just think I was just being. It was still fresh in my head, but playing it more since then, it's. I don't think it's a 4 mic album. And there's a lot of other albums that came out this year that were better than this. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know if it's gonna make my top 20. It might not. It might just be like an honorable mention, and that's it. Because I like playing the album. I know for sure I'm not gonna play every track on this album like on a continuous basis. It's gonna be like my favorites, and that's it. I'm just gonna skip everything else on the album. So
Let me ask you a question.
mhm.
For the year 2024, legendary MCs and legendary producers, they came
Yeah.
together to record full albums in there
Hmm.
to produce entire albums.
Yeah. I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, did you hear me?
Nah, I didn't hear nothing you said. Like you just went silent after.
Oh, I'll repeat it. Okay, of the albums that was produced by legendary producers and beat makers for legendary artists
Uh-huh.
is Missionary. How does Dre rank for the year 2024 against Pete Rock, who produced the Auditorium Volume One,
Right.
Q-Tip against Q-Tip producing The Force for LL, um, Havoc producing RJ Payne, and Rascats. How does Dre rank among those producers for this year?
I don't even think he's in the top five for me. I think I still feel like Common and Pete has the best rap album of the year since it came out, and I've been that's one of the most, as far as like all the albums that came out this year. That's one of the most like albums that I played for the whole year. You know what I'm saying?
So, so,
And
so, so you would say what I'm saying is because Dr. Dre is so iconic and legendary, it's unfathomable for
yeah,
some people that there's a there's other producers just as legendary as Dr. Dre that had better albums than him. So you're
right.
saying Pete Rock had a better project than Dre.
Yes, yes, and not even him, Marco Polo. I mean, I don't know
Master
if
Ace.
people. Yeah, the Richmond Hill album, that was phenomenal. I don't know how people, where people rank Marco Polo, but to me they had a better album than this album. You know, LL Cool J and Q-Tip with The Force. I think that was a better album. You know, Evidence
Would
in
you
Blue,
say
Los Angeles. That was a better album.
Havoc's uh, production for RJ Payne and Rascast, the Gutter album, is it
That
better
one
or
I got to
worse?
hear because I didn't know it was a full album. I just saw the video for it, and I got to hear the full project. Crime Apple just put out an album with Apollo Brown. That was dope. Muggs put out an album with Crime Apple as well. That was fire. And Muggs is a legendary producer. You know what I'm saying? The Alchemist, like the stuff he's done. I just think they were better producers that put out better shit than Dre and Snoop this year. You know, and I love Dre, but even our legends have dropped duds in the past. You know what I'm saying? Nas is a legend, but he's had his shit in the past, and so has Jay-Z. You know what I mean? And this is what you gotta expect at times from our legends. They're gonna fall and then they're gonna get back up. I don't feel like this was a top 20 album. There's some joints on here that I like, but the whole album, I don't like the whole album. I think it was too much album filler that overshadowed the good tracks on here. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, like, and this has been a long time coming. We kept hearing about this breakups to makeups album from them way back, like 20 years ago. I heard was hearing about this, and we just now getting this album with them And I wonder if we got this album 20 years ago, what would it sound like? I don't think it would sound like this.
Would, would you say there's in the past month or so, there's been 3 West Coast albums released.
Uh-huh.
GNX by Kendrick Lamar, Man
Mm-hmm.
Down by Ice Cube.
Yep.
Are any of those 2 albums, or both,
Yep.
are they better than
I think they're
Missionary?
both better. I think they're both better. Especially Kendrick. Kendrick, I don't think there's a whack song on GNX. I think every track on there, I've already seen people make memes and posts and videos from every track on that album. I think that whole album is way better than Mr. Morale. I think Kendrick had one of the best albums of the year. Ice Cube Man Down, I definitely enjoyed it. It was definitely I haven't liked the Ice Cube album since I want to say Lethal Injection. I didn't like a lot of his shit from 2000s. I just thought he was just going through the motions. But I think Man Down was definitely a better album. To me, he had better songs on there. Like I said, Dog Pound had one of the best albums of the year. We All We Got. Love that
Mm-hmm.
album. The East Siders put out an EP on Death Row. That was a dope EP, and Blue put out multiple projects this year as well. The West Coast was putting out heat. Larry June had a great album this year. The stuff that Jay Worthy put out. West Coast was having a great year. Be Real and Psycho Les, they put out a joint album together. Real Psycho, that's dope. And I said this on another platform. I said the West Coast was putting out better music than the East Coast this year.
So
Not to make it a regional thing, but I haven't seen this many good West Coast projects since the 90s. And I think they really was on their shit this year.
so since Snoop has acquired the rights to Death Row Records, Snoop has put out 3 albums this year on his own label.
Yep.
The We Got You, We All We Got album by the Dog Pound, the
Mm-hmm.
East Siders album, and Missionary produced by Dr. Dre.
Yep.
Would it be it wouldn't be implausible that the Dog Pound and the East Siders have better rap albums than Dre and Snoop.
Yeah. The Dog Pound album, I've been playing that since that came out. I think it was grown up gangster rap. It's a different Dog Pound now. They're grown men. They got families. They're not doing the shoot 'em up shit like they did on Dog Food. And Snoop was all over that album. He was all over that album on different tracks. He promoted the shit out of that album. I think they came out with 6 singles or whatever. They went on a mini tour. They're supposed to be going on tour next year for the anniversary of Dog Food. It's gonna be 30 years next year. I would love for them to come to New York. I want to see them live. But I thought they had a way better album than this to me. And the thing is, Daz ain't doing no production on that album because Snoop told him like, yo, you're gonna play the back. You're gonna have Superfly do the production, and you're gonna just be the MC. And then for the next Dog Pound album, you're gonna do the production. And I thought it was a great album. Definitely in my top 3 of the year.
So I'm glad you said that because on the production credits, there were a lot of people that produced along with Dre. Them joints. You
Mm.
mentioned Sam Snead from
Yeah,
Pittsburgh,
Fred Wreck.
Fred
Mm-hmm.
Wreck. So
Yep.
it is unfathomable that the great DRE, the great Dr. Dre, is pulling up the rear behind the Dog Pound, behind Common, behind LL,
Mm-hmm.
behind Ice Cube, behind Master Ace. And I think I'm glad people are starting to listen to the music and judge the music on the music, not by Dre's legendary status.
Right.
Because I remember when DJ Premier and Royce put out Prime 2. There were a lot of people that didn't like Prime 2 because it didn't live up to the first Prime. And
Right.
Primo, people didn't cut Primo slack, so
I
I
agree.
don't think it's fair
I
that
agree.
people cut Dre slack.
But I also said this years ago on here that I felt like Primo had fallen off anyway. And this is going back to, to me, like the last great album he produced was the Connections album for Bumpy Knuckles. That was over a decade ago. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Hmm.
Prime one was great and Prime two was disappointing. But for me, I haven't heard a Primo produced album that's been great in a very long time. And I said this. I said to me he's falling off. And I think Pete Rock has made better produced albums than him since then. Like he's he did Retropolitan with Sky Zoo, Monumental with Smith and Wesson, um the Don't Smoke Rock with Smoke Dizzle. Like he's 80 Blocks and Tiffany's with Camp Low. This is what he do. So like I wasn't surprised when I heard the Common album. I'm like, he's gonna give Common some heat because they haven't worked together since the Ice Cube this song. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't shocked about that. But we were anticipating this album for so many years. And we finally get this album. And the thing is, the same people that Dre worked on Missionary, he worked on the Marsha Ambrosius album, and that was a better album. So explain that. You know what I'm saying? Like he has the
Hmm.
same producers on Missionary that worked on the Marsha Ambrosius album with him. And that to me was a better album, a better produced album. So
Since 2011, Pete Rock has produced 4 entire albums for MCs. In 2011, he produced Monumental for Smith and Wesson.
love
Then
that
in
album.
2016, he produced Don't Smoke Rock for Smoke DZA. That was
Fire.
2016. Then in
Mm-hmm.
2019, he produced Retropolitan for Sky Zoo. And then
Mm-hmm.
he produced the Auditorium for Common in
Right.
2024. So that is what, 13 years?
He
So,
also he also did he also did he produced the album for Flea Lord, but I didn't like the beats on that album. I don't think he gave Flea Lord anything. It sounded like a bunch of throwaway beats for Flea Lord, but I don't even see
but
nobody mentioning that album.
that's still more than Dre has.
Right.
That's still more than Dre has put out.
Yeah, I agree.
Like when I when I when Dre gave that interview on Stephen A. Smith's show, he said he's not really inspired because he think it's whack when artists have more than one producer on an album. And I feel like there's a couple of flags you can throw. Number one, if that's the case,
Right.
then how do you feel about Eminem's output? Because Eminem has employed multiple producers on his albums,
Mm-hmm.
for more than 10 years. Second of
Right.
all, you say that from the comfort of your mansion, from your perch. Pete Rock has
Mm-hmm.
he's produced 4 albums for other MCs since 2011. Since 2011, when has Dre ever
Right.
come outside? So I feel like to say
Mm-hmm.
that is insulting to cats like Pete Rock that has put in the hard work producing other
I
MCs.
agree.
Those albums
I
may
agree.
not be chart toppers, but in hip hop circles, they ring bells. Common, he can
I
tour.
agree.
He could tour behind Auditorium Volume One for the rest of his life. You know,
I
Sky Zoo, he
agree.
could tour uh, behind Metropolitan for the rest of his life. Same thing with Smoke DZA. Same thing with
Right.
Smith and Wesson. So what I'm saying is that I
Mm-hmm.
think Pete Rock is a more valuable producer in 2025 than Dre is. I mean,
looking. I'm not gonna subject my. I'm not. The whole thing is we speak our mind honestly about whatever it is, whatever artist it is, and I the same way I love Dre is the same way I love Primo. But if they making shit garbage, I'm gonna say like, yo, this ain't it, Dre. This ain't it, Primo. So it's not. I'm not even going by. It's not a regional thing or nothing. It's like I said this 2 3 years ago during the pandemic that I felt like Primo had fallen off, and I felt like Pete Rock was making the better music, and he showed us again this year of why he's one of the best. And they nominated for a Grammy, and they should win. I don't know if they're gonna, but that to me is one of the best albums, if not the best rap album of the year. Was Auditorium Volume One, and I love Dre, but we got to call it what it is. Dre is not making classic shit anymore, and this has been for a long time, you know. But and I don't know if maybe he's not all in again like he used to be, or he just not with the times. But I enjoyed the Marsha Ambrosius Dre produced album more than this album, and I never thought I would say that about a Marsha Ambrosius R&B album. But that sounded better and had better production on there than Missionary for me. You know what I'm saying? And he used the same producers on Missionary for that Marsha Ambrosius album. So I don't know how you explain that. Maybe you can. It's just maybe Dre and Snoop is not the same anymore. The chemistry ain't there no more. You know what I'm saying? But to me, there are better produced albums than this album.
but I also think some of the onus has to fall on Snoop because I think there have been points in Snoop's career where I feel like Snoop has been carried by production. Now, if you give some of the beats on this album to somebody like The Game, for example,
Mm-hmm.
do you think Game would have delivered a better album than Snoop with the same production?
I mean, is it? Are we go? Is it the artist? Is it? Are you saying Snoop is not? He's not. He wasn't the right choice for this album, and maybe Game was, or
No, I'm saying like I enjoy Snoop's uh, performances on this album, but I think we're letting Snoop off the hook just a bit. Like Dre was at the him for every production decision, but Snoop he does have uh, a part to play when it comes to writing, when it comes to uh, rapping, and and Game is a far better rapper than Snoop. And to me, I think when you have a superior rapper, I think that rapper is going to be more inspired. He's going to find things to rap about that are far more interesting than what Snoop did.
even even Game had a better album this year. With him and Big Hit, produced by Hit Boy, the Paisley Dreams that came out on New Year's Day. That to me, I played that a lot. That to me was a better album than this. So I don't know if Game would have did a better job with this album as far as beats, but
Whoa, 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 whoa,
maybe
whoa, whoa!
maybe
You're not sure that Game would have did
I'm
a
I'm
better.
not. I mean, I checked out again. The last Game album that I heard before Paisley Dreams, it was Born to Rap. So I skipped over that those other projects that he did. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know necessarily if I could say that Game would have did a better job. It might be Dre. It might be Dre's production. It might, because how do you explain him giving better production to Marsha Ambrosius, and then for Snoop Dogg, you give us this? You know what I'm saying? How do you explain that?
But see, the last album that I heard of Game in with great regularity was Dramatic, and that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I
Like
skipped
like
over
like like
dramatic. I
like
didn't hear
Ga-
dramatic.
like Game has never stopped rapping. His love for rapping has never wavered so much so that he was bloodthirsty to diss Rick Ross uh, and delivered a scathing diss track to Rick Ross called Freeway's Revenge. And you see the type of time that Game is on. So you mean to tell me if Game got his hands on these beats that he would not rap on them, like this is chance to make another album as great or greater than documentary?
Maybe you needed a game feature on here. Why he was on the album? Why we didn't get a game feature?
Oh, we we,
You know what
we,
I'm
we,
saying?
we, 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 we all know the answer to that question.
I mean, come on, like they gotta be. I don't. Is it Dre or is it 50? Like we know him and 50 don't talk. Like is Dre not talking to him either? And that used to be
He,
one of Dre's artists.
like you know Dre isn't going to cross 50 Cent by collaborating with Game.
Yeah, but you're Dr. Dre. Like if I recall, wasn't the Game on the Compton album? He was on it. So did he care about what 50 thought back then when he did the Compton album? No. You're Dr. Dre. You're a
Wait, what's
billionaire.
Game?
You're a legend. Why would he not put Game on the album because of what 50 thinks?
Like what's Game on the Compton album?
He was on the Compton album.
Okay, I haven't heard it in a while.
You know what I'm saying?
Um,
So it like don't tell me you can't do shit with Game because of 50. Like 50 is not even doing music anymore. He's already in television. You know what I'm saying?
need I
Like
remind,
I don't believe that. It's like
but need I remind you that Dre did not invite the Game to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show in
he didn't.
2022.
But at the same time, it's like okay, so then why have him on the Compton album if you're not cool with him? That used to be one of his artists. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it wasn't for Dre, where would Game be right now? You know what I'm saying? Like Dre gave him a classic with documentary. It's like I don't get it. So you're not gonna work with Game because of what 50 think? Why would that matter? If
I
it
think
wasn't
it's
for Dre,
about
50 wouldn't be where he's at in the first place. So like again, it's like Dre made these niggas rich and famous. Like, why would you care what 50 think? If you felt like Game
it,
could have been on the album, why not put him on the album?
you remember when Dre and Snoop went on Drink Champs, Nori asked Dre point blank, "Do you regret not inviting the Game to perform with you at the Super Bowl halftime show?" And Dre said no.
He said no, yes. I get that. But at the same time, you had him on the Compton album. Did you feel like that back then? Or was that just for the movie or whatever?
I mean,
You know what I'm
well,
saying?
Game is from Compton,
It
so
was still a Dr. Dre album. You know, it was still a Dr. Dre album. So it's like if you're not cool with him, why was he on the Compton album in the first place?
I mean I don't know. You only Dre can answer that question, but that's just my theory. I feel like I feel like Dre wants to avoid conflict wherever he can avoid.
He was on just another day. It was the Game and Asia Bryant. That's on the Compton album. So again, if you wasn't cool with Dre, why would if Dre wasn't cool, then why would he be on the album? You know what I'm saying? My
Yeah,
thing is, yes, Dre is a legend. He is just like Primo. But when these niggas is dropping crap, we gotta be honest as fans and especially on as podcasters, we gotta be honest and tell niggas like, yo, this ain't it. This is not it. It's you know what I'm
I
saying?
do
It's not.
I do believe that uh, the powers that be they're gonna definitely juice songs from this album to make
I'm
it a
not that.
hit.
The powers that be don't influence how I feel about shit. So if I feel like this album ain't a classic, that's what I'm gonna say. Because that's how I naturally feel. Like there's some joints that I like, but the rest of it is album filler. And I don't think it's one of the best albums of the year. So I have no influence. The powers of be don't influence me on shit, and I'm never gonna let that happen. People do and say things for clout and for money or whatever. Not over here. We ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? If I don't like an album, I'm gonna say I don't like. I don't care who produced it. You know what I'm saying? Even Pete Rock. It could be Pete Rock. There might be a time when Pete Rock make an album that I don't like, and I'm gonna be like, yo, this is not it, Pete. I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? We gotta
Now,
hold them to a standard. It don't have to be. It don't. The thing is, it don't have to be. I'm not looking for a classic at this point in this era because I feel like in this era there's not gonna be too many classics like there was back in the day. I'm just looking for quality music that we can continuously play. And if it ends up being a classic in 30 years, fine. But in the meantime, if I can't play it every day, like I can play the Auditorium Volume 1 or the Dog Pound album or Richmond Hill, then it's not gonna be in my rotation. No matter what era, what decade it is. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking for quality music at this point. It don't have to be a classic. And I think sometimes people get caught up in that when it comes to entertainment or in movies and music. And oh well, let's see how this stacks up with Doggy Style. It's not going to be a classic like Doggy Style. But if it could be something that you can continuously play, that's all I ask for at this point. Because I think people are throwing out this term when it comes to classic too loosely, and that's something that we never did back in the day. I never did that when I was a teenager and seeing albums like Ready to Die come out and you know all the Death Row stuff. Murder Was the Case on Above the Rim soundtrack, and we that term was not used in our vocabulary. We did not care about that shit. And because of social media now, everybody's quick to label this is a classic or this don't stand up to this. As long as it's something that you can play and it's quality, and that's what they've been giving us this year is quality rap. That's all that I can ask for. It don't have to be, just as classic as Doggy Style or Nas didn't give us the classic with Primo. And if it's something that I could play, that's all I ask for. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. I'm not looking for a classic because when you're expecting classic and you don't get it, then people gonna trash the album.
now, Dre is outside. Do we expect Dre to remain outside for 2025, or do you think he's going to go back to
I don't
his
know.
mansion, to his in-house studio, and just record to his heart's content, and
I
we
saw
don't
a
hear
post that
nothing?
he posted up a picture with him and Exhibit in the studio, and supposedly he's working on new music with Exhibit. If we ever see it, is another story because he has done this many times before, where he's worked with an artist and we see the video or the artist mention that they work with Drake, and we never get that project. Drew Santana did a whole interview with DJ Vlad, and he mentioned how Dipset did a whole EP with Drake. Where's the EP? We don't have it. I ain't hear shit from that. Same thing with Nas. When King Disease Part One came out and we saw Nas in the studio with Dre. Oh, we're getting Nas and Dre. Where's that? We still waiting for that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't know what Dre is planning on doing. We may get the Exhibit and Dre. We may not. I don't know at this point. I don't even think he know. So it's just a wait and see.
I will say though, I think Exhibit is one of the most savvy people in hip hop because Exhibit, he hasn't really put out a lot of albums, and he's been close to Dre, and he's one of a few artists that can go to Dre's studio any hour of the day and just post up and never have to put out another album, another note of music, and he's good. And he can be privy to Dre's thought processes, be privy to Dre's music and recording techniques, and, and and just be happy just being in Dre's camp. And I thought Exhibit was going to be a breakout star when he put out the Restless album,
Yeah. I love that album. Great album.
I think the worst thing
And I
that
like
ever
the one after that, Man versus Machine, because Dre had the production on that. I thought
that
that
was
was a
from
dope album too.
2002.
Yeah. I love Exhibit. Like personally, I think he's underrated, a dope MC. He had his, the Liquid Crew, a part of that crew. And to me, he put out some fire ass albums. Like I haven't listened to an album from Exhibit since Weapons of Mass Destruction. But if he does come out with this new music with Dre, I'm definitely gonna check it out because I feel like he made some great music with Dre in the past. So I'm all in for that. Now if we get it, that's great. If we don't get it, I'm not surprised because this is what Dre does.
I
He
think the
has
worst
he has a vault of unreleased shit. Even how long we been waiting for Detox? That's never gonna come out.
I think the worst thing that
You
ever
know what I'm
happened
saying?
to
So this is what he do,
I
huh?
think the worst thing that ever happened to Exhibit was the popularity of Pimp My Ride, because he made so much money from Pimp My Ride, he could leave rap behind. And now that it's 2024 and the music industry has changed so much that you can put out music on your own. You don't have to go through a label.
Mm-hmm.
He can put out whatever album, with or without Dre, and he'll fare very well. But
Right. But
I,
that
but
doesn't
I,
mean he can't put out that doesn't mean he can't put out a quality album though. He can still do that in this day and age. It's been done already.
well, that's my point. Like Exhibit is his first album came out in '96.
Mm-hmm.
He can put out a new album, and he can remind people of why he was such
Right.
a a dope MC. Like think about it. He came out of the same scene as Chino XL and Razzcast.
Yes,
Those are some of
definitely.
the two most forward-thinking lyricists ever, and he
Right.
came from that hip hop scene.
Right.
I think Exhibit, if he put out an album, I think he would fare very well, considering that you know Crooked Eye still doing this thing, Joel Ortiz still doing this thing, Ransom still
Right.
doing this thing,
Mm-hmm.
um, Common, you know,
Right.
there's no excuse in 2025 why any veteran MC cannot put out an album. I
I
don't care
agree.
how much it doesn't sell or sell.
I agree. And I think, like I said, I think Nas changed the whole mentality of being an older artist in this genre. And I felt like maybe there was a point where you had artists that were stressed. They were stressed to top their last project. They don't got to be stressed no more. Just give us quality music. It don't got to live up to your last project or your classic from 30, 40 years ago. Just give the fans quality music. And it's this whole year, we've seen that. We've seen that from LL. We've seen that from the Dog Pound. We've seen that from Rakim. We've seen that from Pete Rock and Common. So it can be done. And as long as Exhibit, keep that in mind that this don't have to be, at the speed of light and or 40 days, 40 nights. That's all we ask for. Just quality rap. That's all. That's all I'm asking for. It don't need to be a classic.
Perfectly said. I agree.
You know, and that's what it is. But at the same time, if it's bad, I'm going to say it's bad, whether it's Exhibit or Rakim or whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Mhm.
feet got to be held to the fire too, not just the newer artists. You gotta hold the legends feet to the fire as well. Like Rakim, this album ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
whoever it is that come out. Like there's no special treatment. Like Jay-Z has bad albums in his discography. So does Nas. So I'm not showing favoritism to nobody, no matter where you from. You know what I'm saying? I love Eminem, but Eminem has had some bad albums in the last decade. And he returned this year with a better album that I could actually listen to with Delta Slim Shady. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's not
Mhm.
classic, but it was vintage Slim Shady that I remember, and that's all I asked for. I would rather hear a vintage Slim Shady than to hear the the fucking mumble drill rap, whatever he was trying to do with those past albums on Kamikaze and Revival, all that other shit he was dropping. That shit was trash. That was the
I mean,
worst
what I
time.
mean, what come
That was the worst time as him as an artist for me.
what with Kamikaze, he spent the bulk of that album responding back to his critics that did not like Revival, and
Well,
he was in defense mode throughout the
if he
entire
was in
album.
defense mode, he should have been, if that was his answer to the critics, it was bad because Revival was bad and Kamikaze was worse. So I don't know what kind of defense he had, but that was it was all wrong crap. You know what I'm saying? And I was already like done with Eminem at that point. But he came back with this album this year and it was listenable. I'm like, finally, I could listen to an Eminem album from beginning to end, and it doesn't have a bunch of shit on there. It was vintage Eminem like I remembered, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. It don't have to be a classic M. It don't have to live up to Eminem Show or Slim Shady LP or Marshall Mathers LP. Just give us something that's quality that the fans could enjoy, and that's what he did.
So out of curiosity, you didn't like this album?
I didn't. I heard it. It was all over the place to me though. It was just a lot of the beats. I didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? But I, even with that album, he was showing signs of whatever the fuck that you was doing, you was getting out of it. So he was showing signs of like, look, I'm returning to my vintage self. Just stick with me. And that's what I did, because after hearing that, I'm like, hopefully his next album is gonna be vintage Slim Shady. And that's what he gave us. You know what I'm saying? And Eminem, even with Eminem to me, and I said this years ago, he stuck with Dre for too long, because there was a point when he was doing the Family Values tours and all that, and Alchemist was his DJ. You have Alchemist as your DJ for those tours. Why aren't you doing an album with Alchemist? You know what I'm saying? Like you have Alchemist doing all kind of great stuff with Griselda and with Larry June and Big Sean, and you not using them. I mean, but you want to stay with Drake.
On Music to Be Murdered By, Alchemist did produce on he produced a song on that album.
Yeah, but now, I'm talking about a full project, because a full, who would not want to hear Alchemist do a full album with Eminem? I'm talking about a full album. I'm not talking about just a couple tracks. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. Because Alchemist did a whole album with Larry June last year. That was the best rap album of the year, and a lot of people didn't even hear it.
I will say that Eminem had Rick Rubin executive produce his album. Now, Rick Rubin is undeniably a hip hop legend, but if Rick Rubin can produce, for Marshall Mathers LP2, there's no reason why Alchemist can't produce at least like half of the album.
And that album wasn't a great album, and I have that album. It wasn't a great sequel to the first one. So maybe the problem was Rick Rubin, spearheading these Eminem projects. I'm like, maybe you need to get rid of Rick Rubin also. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the last shit that he was producing on the? When the last time he was like producing on the regular? It's been years. Like, he picks and chooses what to be a part of.
Well, he mostly produces rock artists.
Yeah, but he's done the hip hop shit too. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, it's like the choice to have Rick Rubin for Marshall Mathers LP2 wasn't a good choice, because it wasn't a great album. There was some songs on there that I liked, and then there was a lot of some album filler, and it wasn't a great he didn't need a sequel to that anyway. I'm like, why are you doing a sequel to what people consider your best album anyway?
Well, he was in a weird phase where he was really into like mixing hip hop and rock and roll. Like, he was like, you remember that song Berserk? Like, yeah. he was into sampling like old rock bands from the 70s and 80s, and Rick Rubin really did the bulk of that project, incorporating, mixing Eminem's angst with those 80s, rock bands. And it just, for me, it just felt like a weird mash of something that the Beastie Boys did better in the 80s and 90s.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's but it was like throughout the whole album, and I'm like, we really didn't ask for a sequel to your best album ever. So I don't understand why are you giving us this, and why do you have Rick Rubin, spearheading this project? You know what I'm saying? So, but that's a whole nother story. But Eminem
Real, real,
came
real,
back
real
with a
quick,
good album.
real
Uh,
quick. Did you like Eminem's uh the track that he did with Buckshot where he redid
yes.
um
Don't front.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, Don't Front.
that was good. That was good. I enjoyed that. That should have been on the album. I know that was like on different editions of the
Now the
album.
bonus song.
Yeah,
That
but
was the
it's not on
bonus.
my edition, and I have the edition with the limited edition with the extra with the bonus CD. It's not on there, so there's like more than one version, but that should have been included on the main track listing.
Bro, I got the same album.
Do you have the one with the bonus CD?
No, this is the
No,
this
but mine is the
only
digipack. I got the digipack.
I only have
I have the
the
digipack one.
regular CD. No, this is like the jewel case.
Okay. Yeah. Mine is the digipack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a decent album, but I don't, again, nobody was asking for a sequel to Marshall Mathers, so I don't think it was needed. But I just felt like he made a mistake having Rick Rubin oversee that project. You know what I'm saying? But he came out this year with a better album. It was, I could listen to it. I'm like, okay, we got Vintage M on this album. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he decide if he comes out with another album, great. If he don't, then he don't. But I always wanted Alchemist to do a whole album with Eminem, because I felt like Alchemist is one of the best producers in hip hop in modern day, and he could easily give Eminem one of his best albums ever with his
I
production.
just thought of something.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so instead of Game getting his hands on the beats on this album,
Mhm.
what about Eminem? Would Eminem have
Who
delivered a
knows? Who
better
knows what I
album?
don't know, but I mean, Eminem approached every album differently. I don't know what we would have gotten with Eminem over these beats. We could have gotten some shit. I mean, I would like to think he would do a wonderful on a lot of this production. I mean, but the Drake production that he always gave M was real. It was real quirky. It was more fit for Eminem's style. It wasn't like it wasn't like he gave him beats that were for other people. You know what I'm saying? So like when you hear like Crack a Bottle, that's Eminem's lane, and 50 was on that track. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I
Yeah.
think Dre always gave M like the beats that fit his style, that fit his moniker. So I don't know how Eminem would have sounded over this stuff.
Okay, I mean that's fair. Yeah, you're right. But I will say
You know what I
though,
mean?
man, like to me, like 50 and M, they have so many good songs together. You mentioned Crack a Bottle.
Mhm.
Did you like 50's verse on that song?
I don't even remember. I don't remember. I remember him on it. I
I
don't
mean,
remember
like,
the verse.
I've seen video of them performing that song, and it's like
Mhm.
so short for 50, and it's
Right.
like when like the best 50 and Eminem collaborations to me is usually like the aggressive songs like Patiently Waiting
Right.
and You Don't Know
Mhm.
from the Re-Up project.
Right.
Um, I mean, Jimmy Crackhorn was ho hum.
I didn't like that.
Yeah,
But like I said, like they've done a lot of collabs, and 50 has done collaborations with M that you normally probably wouldn't be able to hear, like he did, like I mentioned, Spend Some Time, that was on Encore. He did Love Me, that was on 8 Mile. Crack a Bottle, that was on Relapse.
I
um
did. I did like
he's done,
Psycho. I did like Psycho from Self Destruct. album.
right. Like he I felt like he's gone out of his way to get on tracks with M that he normally probably wouldn't be a part of. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. But they've done like a lot of collabs together. But um, again, like the production that Dre gave him, it fit M. I couldn't see a lot of those beats that Dre gave to M for other artists. I'm like, this is the shit that he was handpicking for just Eminem.
I was I could to me I can tell you the songs that I feel if Eminem got his hands on, he would have given better rapping performances.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I feel like M would have did a better job with another part of me, just just
He would,
lyrically.
yeah,
Another one,
he
I
would.
feel he would have did a better job on the negotiator.
Okay.
I feel like he would have did a better job on sticky situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because I think especially for another part of me, I think with him, he would have did the chorus his own self. He would have sang the chorus. He wouldn't need this thing on there. He would have been like, "Yo, I'm singing the chorus my own self. I don't need Sting." And Eminem has done that before, where he's been on. He's done the rapping and the singing on the choruses. So I do agree with you on like yeah, like certain tracks I can hear him on. I don't know if it's like the whole album, but I definitely think if you give him the another part of me beat, he would have did better than Snoop on that one.
I also believe that, like you remember Guns and Smoke.
Yeah.
I think he would have, um, uh, you know, did some co-producing on that song.
Right.
I know like I have a feeling that he would have asked Dre like, can you redo the drum programming? Because
Mm-hmm.
like I said, you listen to Eminem's verse, it's like he's fighting the beat,
Right.
and he's trying to get that aggression that he had during the G Unit days,
Right.
but it just wasn't there. Like
I mean, even with M, I look at it like he's rusty, and I feel like he's coming back within to himself because he was doing shit that he normally wouldn't do. When you hear Kamikaze and Revival, you know what I'm saying? Like those are albums that I wouldn't even like think like yo, this is Eminem. Like I feel like he was doing that shit to piss people off, like to piss his loyal fans off, and he had to come out of that to get back to where he was when he dropped "Music to Be Murdered By," and now we're getting the Eminem that people know and love. So I that maybe that has something to do with it that he was trying to be like fucking Little Yachty and everybody, all these other drill rappers at one point, and now that he's back to himself, it might have to take some time. Like I forgot I used to rap over beats like this. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why you felt like he didn't sound good on the Guns and Smoke on beat.
yeah, yeah, I feel you on
You know what I mean?
that.
I mean that's how I felt. That's how I felt. So I don't know if everybody else feels the same way, but that's how I felt when hearing Eminem now. So he had to go through his little whatever the fuck it was to get back to himself and find himself or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I like some songs on the album. I don't think it's a great album. I think it was filler. I don't want to say Dre is over yet because Dre did give Marsha Ambrosius a great album this year. So maybe the chemistry is not the same with him and Snoop like it used to be. And it's been a long time since they worked together. So that might have something to do with it. Now, if they give us another album after this, maybe then we could say like, okay, they're back, chemistry is tight, you know. But I don't know. I don't know what Dre is planning on doing. I really couldn't tell you.
I think Dre.
You know.
I, w- I was maybe once Dre gets the pulse of the streets over this album, maybe he might be inspired to go back in the studio and record a
Right.
follow up with Snoop.
Hopefully that'd be nice.
Because
And it don't have to be a sequel. It don't have to be a spiritual sequel to no album. Just give us another album together, just some bangers, you know.
Yeah, like I would. To me, like there's no point of even doing a sequel to this album.
Right.
Like everything that can be said about Snoop's career and Snoop's legacy has been said on this album.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think if Snoop and Dre were to do another album, like pick another concept, like choose another angle to record from.
Yeah.
But that
I
that
agree.
but that would be pretty radical for Snoop.
Probably. We gotta come back and do our top 10 or top 20 like rap best rap albums of the year.
Just let me
We gotta
know.
do that.
I'm with it.
Um, are you gonna be free next week or a week after next before the end of the year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we gotta do that. So that'll be like the end. That'll be like my last stream of the year going into next year, and just end it off with like our top. You want to do 20 or top 10?
Oh, we can do 20.
Top 20 rap albums of the year. I'm also working on another list with somebody else that they asked me. So, but yeah, we're gonna do like the last stream of the year. We like best rap albums, our top 20 lists of 2024. That's gonna be fun. That'll probably be like 4 or 5 hours long. You know, I tried to make this as short as possible, but it was hard, especially when we talking about legends like Dre and Snoop. So, um, before we leave, Raka, tell people where they can follow you at and what you got coming up.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Rakabash, RAKABASH. I'm also on Blue Sky at Rakabash, RAKABASH. Um, I'm on Blue Sky, but I'm not posting regularly. After I haven't been on that other platform in close to a year now, and
Okay.
for obvious reasons.
Right.
But I got in 2025, I plan on doing some traveling, and I want to get back to hosting regular discussions about music.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what's the best uh, avenue to do it on. One that can accommodate people's time, and also uh, pick a platform that will have the best audio, so people can uh, hear each other. Um, and that's what my immediate plans are, going into the new year.
Yo, well, I mean, just let me know. Like, if you decide to set up on X or Twitch or whatever, I'll definitely join you over there, and we could continue these great discussions, and so just let me know when.
Well, absolutely, and I want to, tip my hat off to you, man. Like you're beyond knowledgeable about not just hip hop, but you know, Black history,
Yes,
about education, about really heavy subjects, and I
yes,
always appreciate our discussions because there's enough uh, platforms in the world that talks about gossip, that talks about things that
yeah,
aren't important in this world, and I think now more than ever, we have to uh, talk about these subjects and try to create solutions, so that not only we can protect ourselves, but protect our communities, protect our families, um,
right,
especially for Black people, in this country. It's important
Hmm.
to have solidarity and to have each other's best interest. So I appreciate you
Thank you, man.
very much. And anytime you want to talk all things hip hop, all things uh, cultural arts, anything,
Thank you.
just let me know.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It means a lot. You know what I'm saying? And then just connecting with great people like yourself, and there's so many others that I've connected with, and this has been fun. And y'all make it fun for me. So I definitely will continue to do that, and staying true to the culture. You know, like Ray Sean said, like, yeah, like I don't care about gossip. I don't, everybody this whole week I kept hearing about Remy Ma and Papoose. I'm like, bro, I'm going through my own relationship issues. Like I could care less about what they're going through. You know what I'm saying? And
Right
that
on.
serves no purpose to me in the culture. I don't care about that. That has nothing to do with me. I'm not gonna talk about it. You know, and it's unfortunate that we have platforms that they want to get clout and clickbait over other people's trials and tribulations, but I'm not doing all that because I honestly don't give a damn. I don't wake up worried about these people, so it's all about the culture for me. So thank you as always for taking your time to be on here with 3-4 hours just to talk hip hop is dope. And I will continue to salute the culture in the new year, and we're gonna end it off next week with our top 20 best rap albums of 2024. That's gonna be fun. Tomorrow I'm doing IG live. I think it's at 6 p.m. with some people that we know, Chop It Up Hip Hop and Back to the Lab and Ray Lansky. We're gonna be doing Naughty by Nature double review for 1909 and the Icons album. So that should be fun. And yeah, and I've got another live stream to do right now. Reg, I know Reg's been waiting for like the last couple hours. We're doing Linkin Park, Living Things album review right after this. So stay tuned for that. Follow Raka Bash, follow myself, follow Reg, follow all of us. Everybody that's contributing to the culture and not gossip. Follow all of us. Those are the real ones that I'm fucking with, and that's what it is. So salute to everybody that came out tonight. Ray, salute to you and SMH. Subscribe to the channel. Knee Boy, salute. Yeah. So we're gonna end this live stream and see you all next week.
Peace.
Peace.